What's going on, everybody? This is Let the Madness Begin, LTMB Live. I'm Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White. You didn't seem too sure about that. You kind of stuttered between the LTMB.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm thinking about, you were talking about football, and that was in my mind. I didn't even realize that the preseason was going to begin tonight, so I was just thinking about something else,
Did they sign, did they kind of iron the contract dispute out with Raquan Smith yet?
I don't think so. I don't believe so.
It's crazy, man, because actually there's a lot of political discussions we can have in regard to sports, because there's a lot of things that go on as far as like contractually with the owners, with the type of contracts we try to get these players to sign, that kind of like highlight the schemes that these corporations use. Greed, man. It's the same thing, man. That's why I think sports is bigger than just sports, man. Because if you like dig deep down into like the inner workings and internal workings of it, you see how foul it is. You know what I'm saying? You already see like on the surface with how they kind of hold cities hostage to even get them to build stadiums and stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Or renovate them.
Yeah. So, man, it goes way beyond just X's and O's, man.
Appreciate everybody that's joining us for this program. This is August now. First program in August 2nd. It's creeping on up, man. Before yet, it will be time for the midterms in November. And we do have a primary tonight. It's in Tennessee. Again, I didn't really look too much into what was going on in Tennessee. Definitely, we'll see the results. We'll see if there's something to talk about, and if there is, maybe we can address that tonight, or maybe we'll have to save that till next week. But that is the only primary that is today, and then next week it's going to be Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington. So Michigan is going to be something definitely to keep an eye on, and definitely Missouri as well. Those are the two that, Kansas. I don't know too much about what's going on in Kansas and Washington. Washington is mostly I guess Washington, you could say it's kind of like a progressive state, right? Sort of.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, mostly. So. But anyway, we're going to get going, and like we said, we appreciate you being here with us. We have lots to talk about tonight. We got some jokes already. We got jokes in the chat. Yeah, you know what? We got one story at the end, too, that I didn't tell you about yet. But you know what? It's good. It's good I didn't tell you about it. It's actually good I didn't tell you about it. Let it creep up on you. I want a natural reaction.
Oh, you want like the organic raw mic reaction?
Yeah. Okay. It's not serious, but it's serious for somebody. Actually, it's kind of serious, but we'll see. We'll get to it. But anyway, let's break down. Let's get to it. All right. So, President Trump is a moron. I can't. You know what? I can't even put it any other way.
You say fill in the blank. You say President Trump, because I think you knew in your mind, like, you know what? You can put anything right there.
The dude is an imbecile. So here is President Trump at a rally in Tampa, Florida on Tuesday. It was Tuesday night, and he was promoting Representative Ron DeSantis's gubernatorial bid.
In some states, Democrats are even trying to give illegal immigrants the right to vote. They want to give them the right to vote. And what about all of those people that are waiting online for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, trying to get into our country? They don't have the right to vote. We believe that only American citizens should vote in American elections. Which is why the time has come for voter ID, like everything else. Voter ID. If you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture. In this country, the only time you don't need it, in many cases, is when you want to vote for a president, when you want to vote for a senator, when you want to vote for a governor or a congressman. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, kind of the segment that we just played is centered around him trying to promote some, like, I guess, this voter ID concept. This is probably a national concept, obviously, but if we actually look at the facts, right, when it comes to the supposed influx of illegals or people who are non-citizens voting, it simply is not there. So if the data doesn't support that position, then usually there's some sort of nefarious reason why that is being pushed. Mm-hmm. Usually it involves voter suppression. You know what I'm saying? Because if the data doesn't support this concept of illegals voting, people who are undocumented or non-citizens voting, then there has to be something else behind it. Something historically relevant, historically true.
Is that the case?
You know it's a damn case. You know it's a damn case. You know it's the case. They're trying to kind of use this as some sort of like some sort of linchpin in a sense. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to use this as some sort of, I guess, pin that he's pulling out the grenade to kind of blow up, you know, I guess our electoral system in some kind of way. Or to justify adding some sort of restriction that's going to make it hard on a certain segment of people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because this is all surrounding reactionary politics, reaction to demographics changing, reaction to the voter base changing. We've done stories countless times about officials pretty much coming out and saying that we have to do something about this demographic change. Right. And what do you do to kind of like keep your power, keep the same people in power? What do? How do you solve this demographic problem? How do you solve this representative problem? Because essentially the people are who vote these representatives in. So what do? You suppress the vote of a certain group of people.
Yes. Of course, we know what he's trying to convey. But of course, at the end of that statement, or towards the end of his that part of the speech, he talks about groceries. Talks about having an ID for groceries, and there's been lots of picking on Donald Trump about this, lots of memes, lots of jokes about it, and rightfully so, because it's stupid. It's a really stupid comment that you would need an ID for the groceries. Like now, and of course there are people that are trying to protect him, trying to defend him, trying to cover for him at every turn, and trying to say, well, hey, you know what he actually meant. He meant sometimes. What if you write a check? You do have to show ID. What if you purchase some beer or some wine at the grocery store? Of course you have to show an ID, right? So that's what he was talking about.
And I've heard people say they also threw EBT cards in there, and you don't have to actually have an ID to use EBT.
So that's one that, it's stupid. It's just stupid, right? But the other one is that, like what you were talking about, well, you kind of highlighted on about voter fraud, right? Mm-hmm. Voter fraud is a fallacy. It has not been proven. There is no rampant abuse of our voter system, people that are here illegally and are voting. Now, Trump has made the claim before that thousands of undocumented immigrants voted illegally in the 2016 election. Was that true? There's been no evidence to suggest it. And actually, when you talk about voter fraud, there's only been like a few select cases where there was somebody that actually did it.
And who did those cases surround? And who did those cases surround? They did not surround people who are not citizens.
No. They surrounded people that were actually citizens.
Sometimes like representatives.
Yeah. But anyway, so you heard at the beginning, though. This is where I want to go. So at the beginning, he said something like, in some states, Democrats are trying to give undocumented immigrants the right to vote. Now, that's a loaded statement. It's partially true. It's partially true, but the way he said it, he's trying to convey something that's absolutely a lie. So there are a few towns in America that give certain undocumented immigrants the right to vote in like municipal elections. So San Francisco gives certain undocumented immigrants the right to vote in elections like the school board elections. There's certain towns, or actually there's multiple towns in Maryland where they give certain undocumented immigrants the right to vote in their local elections. But again, you have to go to like what actually Donald Trump was trying to convey here. He said that you need what we need in this country is an ID to vote in these elections, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you do establish that law in place where in every single election you have to have an ID, is that going to prevent these particular undocumented immigrants from voting in their local communities for the school board or whatever? No, it's not. And no, it's not at all.
And it also
because the laws have been passed for them in those localities.
Okay, so what you're saying is like even if he's referring to that, it still wouldn't like be something to include like within this kind of speech. Nor would it be something to include within this type of initiative, because what he's getting at is people who are voting when they're not supposed to.
Right.
That's not the case. That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like the whole setup was fraudulent. And again, and I'll point out that in these locales where there are undocumented immigrants that have been provided the right to vote in certain elections, these are local elections. We're not talking about state elections. We're not talking about federal elections, because you do have to be a citizen to vote in those elections. And there's no Democrats that I haven't seen a push about this or anything. There's no Democrats that I have seen that are pushing for undocumented immigrants to vote in state elections or federal elections.
So to me, this is not just about him being an idiot. Actually, it's not just about him being a numbskull.
No, it's that, but yeah, like you said, it's not just that. It's very sinister.
It's very sinister, and it's not like one of these talking points he's using to just make himself feel better, to better his ego. I don't think it would be worth talking about, because he's always making comments like that and tweeting in regards to how good he is and how wonderful he is and how smart he is and how stable genius he is. Those are really not noteworthy, but now you're talking about like stirring an environment in order to push some policy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? A policy that's based on essentially not fact. Fallacy. So then we do have a problem here, and so we have a bunch of people like cheering for it. And I'm pretty sure there are people who are not at that rally who are probably cheering for it too. And so I think that's the biggest part of this rally: the buying or having to have ID for groceries. That's probably just the icing on the cake,
right,
or the cherry on top. You know what I'm saying?
It's such an idiotic cherry, though. I mean, and then the people that are actually providing excuses for that statement, too.
Remember he was talking about alcohol. Well, then that has to do with the product and not ID, though.
Oh, and then, again, he's talking about in every situation, right? Have an ID when you vote.
He said buy.
You have to have an ID every time you go to the grocery store?
Remember, he didn't, again, they're purposefully keying on the word groceries, because that way they can kind of deflect to, well, maybe he was talking about alcohol. But even that's dumb, because that has to do with like verifying the age of somebody, and not whether they're here legally, or not whether they're a citizen.
Could somebody that is not a citizen buy alcohol here? Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't make sense. And again, to focus on groceries is purposeful, because he said anything. He said anything. ID to buy anything. So that kind of destroys that argument. Well, maybe he was talking about alcohol. Maybe he was talking about just checks. That's a method of payment. Now you're talking about methods of payment. He's actually talking about goods, products. Yes. So it doesn't make sense. So we now have a wouldn't situation now.
Yes. You know idiots. So let's get to another part of this speech that he, this speech in Tampa, Florida, where, again, President Donald Trump uttered some more foolishness.
It's awfully early to be thinking this, but I always think it. Remember the attack on Merry Christmas? They're not attacking it anymore. Everyone's happy to say Merry Christmas, right? And that's only because of our campaign.
Again, just like this kind of the superficial issue of players standing and putting their hands on their hearts for the national anthem. This is another one of those very frivolous issues he can latch onto because he is not really a serious politician. He can't take his job seriously because he's unqualified. He does not know how to deal with the more serious matters that a president, deals with on a day-to-day basis, and he can't actually stand for long periods of time and display a particular type of endurance in talking about issues that most presidents do. Like we highlighted his the questions he took in Helsinki when they asked him about Brexit. It was just about as bad as when they asked George Bush about what sovereignty meant. You remember that? Sovereignty means they're sovereign. It was like sovereignty. It was like, so again, he takes on these issues, these little stupid issues, because he knows that's really all he can do to gas his base up and to gas himself up as well, because he's just very simple-minded, and that's the only thing he can stick to.
He said his campaign, his candidacy actually ended the war on Christmas, and nobody's talking about it anymore. Now, I will agree with him. Nobody's talking about it anymore. You know why? Because it was actually never a damn thing. The war on Christmas, how could you have a war on Christmas when, usually in a war, there's two sides, right? The war on Christmas, it promoted a fallacy. There was one side saying that, hey, no, we need to take back Christmas. We need to, hey, it's okay to promote Christmas. And then the other side was like, no, we need to be against Christmas. Nope, that side never existed. There were people that were like, hey, if you have a business or something and you want to put up happy holidays, or maybe if you have, again, this is at businesses, you want to put on your cup. I think Starbucks went through this, happy holidays, they write on the cup or something like that. And people were flipping out hey, this is a war on Christmas. No, see, happy holidays is, of course, more inclusive. I don't think people are offended if somebody says Merry Christmas to them, or if you see Merry Christmas on a billboard or in a sign in a window at a store or something like that. I don't think people are upset, but
protesting businesses.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I do think they feel it's more of a welcome sight if they do see happy holidays, because of course not everybody is Christian. I wouldn't identify myself as a Christian, but when I see Merry Christmas, do I feel offended? No, I just see okay, Merry Christmas, cool. But when I see Happy Holidays, I'm like, cool. It doesn't bother me any way. If you don't celebrate Christmas, if you're not a Christian or whatever, I'm sure it's okay, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I'm gonna keep it moving, go on with my day. Is it some kind of deep I can't get that out of my face?
What you're saying is it's just one big straw man.
Yes, man.
This one big straw man to make it look like there are individuals out there trying to take away Christmas from people. Because if there was actually a war on something, it wouldn't just be people saying things about it. It would be people actively trying to take it away, legally too.
Yeah,
legally. They would be taking everything away. Hey, you can't put decorations up in the city, no nativity scenes.
Right.
Churches, you're not allowed to have Christmas pageants and Christmas plays. Not allowed to do that. Magazines, books, television shows, movies shouldn't include anything about Christmas, Jesus, or anything. If there was actually a war, it's being fought very poorly.
You would have to see some kind of effort.
You would have to see some kind of effort. But what this is really about is Christians not being, not feeling empowered, in some kind of way. And it's more not feeling empowered in a narcissistic type of way. No one's stopping you from practicing your religion. What they really want is they want a power structure. Right. They want an apparatus. They want the government. They want corporations that they don't own to celebrate their faith for them.
They want a theocracy.
They essentially want a theocracy. They want these businesses. They want the state. They want like a powerful apparatus, a powerful system that validates who they are. Why would you want that? Like, because
it means so much to, it's like it means so much to them. So then we have to project that onto everybody else and force everybody else to practice the same type of religion, because this is the only way.
So you don't have religious freedom unless you're forcing it on to other people.
Correct.
That's some sinister ass shit right there.
Correct.
That's sinister, man. That's very sinister. That's what it really is about. That's why the whole people got pissed about Starbucks.
Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. Why, making videos about this, videos going viral. Like, it's not a war. It's not even a thing. Happy holidays. Oh.
Think about that. Think about this. They think it's a war because other people don't want to practice their faith.
Right.
That is some religious fascism right there.
That's crazy as hell.
That's crazy. That's religious fascism, man.
That's insanity, man.
That's insanity. You don't want to practice our faith? That means you're in a war against us.
Wow. All right. So let's keep it moving with this rally. Let's go to QAnon, right? So QAnon is something that I don't believe we have talked about on this show. And most likely we haven't talked about it because it is utterly ridiculous. It is mind-numbingly stupid. But at this rally that Trump was a part of in Tampa, Florida, there were several members in the audience, several people in the audience that were wearing Q paraphernalia. They had signs, QAnon. You know, it was just all over the place, and you saw it on the broadcast. So it's like, now you're forcing us to talk about it, right? So let's get down to, you know, where this all came from. So I believe this started back late 2017. I believe it was October, and it started online. I believe it was on 8chan. It's also called Infinity Chan. It's kind of like a sister to 4chan, I believe. Yeah. But supposedly, QAnon is this government agent, this high-level government agent with a top security clearance, and he is working pretty much for Donald Trump, and he's working against the deep state. This one person is working against the deep state, trying to take them down. And so he provides his followers breadcrumbs. That's what they call them. He provides them breadcrumbs. And he doesn't actually ever really explicitly state anything. It's just like, here, follow along and watch, you know. And they talk about the storm, and that's because there was when Donald Trump was at the White House with I believe some military members. He said something like this is the calm before the storm, and somebody from the media asked him, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "You'll see." Very like cryptic type stuff, right? So anyway, again, so for months this QAnon has been posting multiple things, and there's like a whole bunch of conspiracy theories. And mind you, none of these conspiracy theories, like none of what QAnon has posted has come true, and nothing that QAnon has posted has actual provable intel included in it. But there's a massive amount of followers, and people are taking this like dead serious. This is like a real thing that they're latching onto, and they believe QAnon is something actually real. One of the conspiracy theories with this QAnon thing, is that the special counsel, Robert Mueller, is actually a white hat. So white hat, I remember like Scandal.
Yeah.
With the white hats. The white hats are the good guys. So with QAnon, followers believe that Robert Mueller is a white hat, and he's actually working for Donald Trump. And so, like, all of this that you're seeing going on in the news, these I guess like these indictments and these plea deals, like all of this is actually not real. He's actually working to take down the deep state. And when it's all said and done, when this investigation is finally completed, you're gonna see the evidence of that.
And like Trump's role in all this is to act as if he's against it, because he can't like reveal himself.
Right.
So all of his, you know, kind of manic tweets, all of his I guess his deflection of like Mueller's investigation. All that's for show because he has to play it up like he doesn't want the deep state to get taken down.
Right.
He has to play it up, so he has to play his role.
Yeah.
So, like, all of what you've been hearing Trump say and his response is all just him acting.
It's acting. The question I would have, though, is that if Mueller is actually a white hat to Donald Trump and all the followers, if Mueller is actually this particular individual that's working against the deep state, why, oh why, is Trump acting so scared when it comes to this Mueller investigation, this Russian investigation? Like, why is Trump like running so scared? Like, he's like, what they used to say, like yellow. You're yellow, you know. He's like, why is Trump acting so fearful of what's gonna come? And I understand, like you were just alleging. I understand that people will say, hey, it's all an act. It's all for show. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
It would have to be. It would have to be a lot of people in on this show, dog. But because it would have to be Giuliani would have to be in on it too.
Yes. But see, this is where I'm going with it. Okay. Yeah. If it's all for show, if this is all fake, and Mueller is actually working against the deep state and for Donald Trump, he's not actually trying to get Donald Trump. If all this is for show, and Donald Trump is just faking the funk, he's just faking like he's actually scared, but he knows what's going on. How would that make sense when QAnon is actually informing the deep state of what's going on? You remember QAnon he's dishing out the breadcrumbs.
Like, if you are like kind of an internal mole, you would not reveal something like that.
You're telling the exact people that Mueller is supposed to be going after the deep state, that he's actually going after them. Oh, why would you reveal that if this is all fake? Why would you reveal that?
Let's see, again. It would have to be more than just Trump. It would be that's acting. You know who else would need to be acting? Devin Nunes.
Yeah.
That whole thing would have had to be an act too.
The 4-page memo.
Because if all this is designed to, if Mueller is kind of the white hat and all this, and he is kind of this kind of secret agent trying to help Trump take the deep state down, that would mean anybody who is in opposition to Mueller is either acting just like Trump or in opposition to the deep state being taken down. You have to choose which one it is. There's only two sides, and you gotta have to conclude that, well, Devin Nunes wants the deep state to continue because he has been a vocal opponent of this investigation and pretty much using disinformation and lies to kind of support his theories.
To me, this shit is on the same level as Scientology. And
or flat Earth.
Earth. But it actually, when I talk about Scientology, it might be even worse than that, because with Scientology, you actually have a tangible person that's brainwashing you. Like, you have access to somebody that's like, hey, this is the way. I'm teaching you some real messed up stuff. You got to come into our community. You got no access to the outside world. But there's actually a tangible person. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're actually brainwashing you. With QAnon, it's just somebody on the internet that is posting stuff. There's been nothing proven that this person is actually who he says he is.
All this person represents is an outlet, I guess, for people to project all of their desires onto.
That's it.
Like what they already previously believed about this administration, Trump, or this presidency, that this QAnon pretty much fulfills that for them. So whatever this QAnon says, or whatever direction the QAnon tells these people to go, they will go. And QAnon recognizes this. This individual behind this account recognizes this, and unfortunately, it's easy. It's very easy to do this. This is not very difficult, and it's just kind of weird that these people would just trust this person without even knowing or verifying who they are.
There's no verification whatsoever.
But see, you don't need verification
when he's pushing
something in your imagination.
Exactly.
You don't need verification for imagination.
This is no different than any other conspiracy theory that has no merit whatsoever. Now the bad thing is that there is actually money involved, and people are actually contributing money to this whole scam, as it seems to be. I mean, it looks like a scam to me. So I mean, that's the real unfortunate thing. But There's always some sucker, man. There's always a sucker. But you know what? I got one for you. I don't know if you know this about this QAnon thing. I don't know if you prepared for this.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. So lately, there has been a large segment of QAnon followers that are now believing that QAnon is actually not a government agent and not somebody, like I said, in the government with a top level security clearance. They believe. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
You ready?
Ahead. Yeah, I already know where this is going. Go ahead.
They believe that JFK Jr. did not actually die 20 years ago or almost 20 years ago, and he is actually QAnon.
You mean JFK Jr. who crashed in a plane? That JFK Jr.?
The one in the same.
Okay.
He
Again.
He's alive. He faked his death. And
Again, you have to keep the conspiracy.
What do we
fresh.
we keep saying that, right?
You got to keep the conspiracy fresh.
They keep moving.
You got to constantly move that ball in the cup so people can't catch that ball. So now you have to again go to your imagination and then project your imagination onto the situation as if it is true to kind of fulfill what you already believed about the situation or what you wish to happen in the situation. To kind of establish a fantasy world, you have to establish a fantasy world to get out of this world.
You got to keep making it provocative.
You have to keep making it provocative because the world is fucked up and the person you supporting is fucked up, and the system that is, I guess, that has befallen all of us is fucked up. So you got to create this fantasy world.
Yeah, I promise you, I wasn't ready for that one when I saw it. I wasn't ready. I mean, because of course, you learn to expect the unexpected when it comes to irrational conspiracy theories, but that it's not who you've been saying it was for months on end, this high level government agent, and it's JFK Jr. who, hold on, remind me, JFK Jr., though he never ran as a politician, I mean, he never entered politics. And he was thought that he was going to enter the Senate race for New York, but what would he have run as? A Democrat.
Yes, he would have run as a Democrat. There are a lot of people who say that Hillary Clinton had him killed. But again, okay. So that's burned this, because it was a threat.
So he.
See, that's why they chose. That's why they chose him, dude. The
wheels are turning now.
You got to get the wheels turning because there's some sort of thread that links all these conspiracy theories. There's a thread that links all of them.
So he knew that Hillary Clinton either tried to or was going to try to kill him. He faked his death, and then 20 years later he reemerges to take her down.
See, here's my problem. I'm okay with conspiracy theories, but then you can't hold two conspiracy theories that contradict one another. Like, you can't hold both of those at the same time because that actually contradicts the other conspiracy. The conspiracy that Hillary Clinton had him killed,
right?
Because she's known as a murderer and having people off. If you're going to stick with that, you have to stick with that. You can't now then say he faked his death. Well, that means that she didn't have him killed. I'm like, which is it?
I guess
too many competing
it was like the bomb in the car. Like you what was that? The eraser? You remember?
Dog, you killing me, dog.
It was Vanessa Williams, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, the car blew up, but they actually knew. Like they planted the bomb there. You know what I'm saying? And then they got out of there. And so that's what. I can't even, man. I can't even though. Like I said, mind-numbingly stupid, man, and I don't care who that offends, straight up, because this is engaging in absolute nonsense. If there was something to it, if there's something that had emerged, that something that was provable, something that actually came to fruition, that this QAnon said was going to happen, and okay, maybe, but there's been nothing, so whatever. All right, let's move on. So let's go to Let's stay with Trump, actually, but we're gonna leave off of this Tampa.
Yeah, we just got to put everything together so we can deal with it all in one like loop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So Donald Trump on Wednesday morning, he got to Twitter. As always, he's always on Twitter, tweeting up some stuff.
He makes it sound like he cooking, like he tweeting up, like he just like in the Twitter kitchen or some shit.
That's what he do.
Like he's just getting the ingredients together.
That's what he do, man.
Get the frying pan out and just like start stir frying.
That's what he do. That's his job, man. But anyway, so he got on Twitter and he started tweeting a lot of different things. It was like manic tweeting. It looked like, and I can,
like 6 in a row.
Yeah, man, it was
back to back.
It was insanity, and we're not gonna show you all of them because it's just too much. But we got a few that we want to highlight. So this is the first one. It says, "This is a terrible situation, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions should stop this rigged witch hunt right now before it continues to stain our country any further. Bob Mueller is totally conflicted, and his 17 angry Democrats that are doing his dirty work are a disgrace to the USA." So we're going to stop it right there. There's a couple more we're going to get to, but first let's address this one. Seems like he is suggesting to, well, not just suggesting, it does seem like this is like a, hey, Jeff Sessions, my attorney general, you need to put a stop to this right now. It seems it's coming off like it's an order. Also, you know, he amended the 13 angry Democrats. Now they're 17.
They're 17.
I don't know why. I believe at first he was talking about 17 total, but there's 4 of them that have no registration as anything. So he amended it. Whatever.
He's got to stay in character. Remember,
he does.
He's acting, so he's got to put on more.
Yeah, but so okay, so the White House press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders,
sucker, Freudian dog.
That was a slip, right?
Oh.
But Huckabee Sanders, that's a pretty good name, actually. Huckabee Sanders, right? Anyway, but Huckabee Sanders, she fielded some questions about this tweet in particular, because again, it did seem like it was an order to Jeff Sessions to shut the investigation down, which he can't because he recused himself. He can't do it. So that would be on Rod Rosenstein. So she said that no, Trump wasn't actually suggesting, or he wasn't actually giving Jeff Sessions an order. This was just his opinion. And she said that the president is not obstructing, he's fighting back. So my question to that is someone fighting him?
I was about to say, again, when you are trying to defend the indefensible, when you are trying to defend the foolish, you have to be more foolish, but you don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Like, actually, by saying he's fighting back, you're actually saying he's obstructing. You're trying to excuse, like, his approach by saying, oh, what he's doing is this. He's not doing X, he's doing Y. But actually, Y would point to more of an obstruction than X.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
If he's saying he's fighting back, then guess what? That's even more worse than what he's being accused of.
It just...
And if somebody, an authority figure of yours at your job said, hey, Angela, you should stock the shelves. Or, hey, Benjamin, you should go clean the bathroom. Or, hey,
sounds like a command.
Scott, you should go get on that damn register.
Yeah.
That sounds like a command. That's not a suggestion.
It's not just a personal opinion. But again, like, who was fighting Trump? Like, we've talked about this before. Mueller is leading the investigation, of course. Of course, he has help. He has people on the team. But nobody is actually talking about Trump. Like, all the indictments, the plea agreements, the plea deals, they have to do with other people. Now, of course, you could say that, yeah, they're connected to Trump. They've had some connection to Donald Trump. But is Trump specifically, like, has he been in the news? Have you heard anything about Mueller or anybody on the team saying that, hey, you know what, Trump, we think Trump did this? No. So who are you fighting?
But. I mean, there is something going on right now. I mean, there is a particular trial that's going on right now that may have him triggered.
Yeah.
I mean, and he did mention that in a couple of tweets. And that's your boy, Manafort.
Yes, Manafort.
This trial started on Tuesday, and Trump has tweeted about that. So those tweets about Manafort are kind of connected to this.
Yes. Okay, so let's get to, I believe that's the second one. Yeah, so this is the second one. Paul Manafort worked for Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole, and many other highly prominent and respected political leaders. He worked for me for a very short time. Why didn't government tell me that he was under investigation? These old charges have nothing to do with collusion, a hoax.
What? First of all, what does Reagan and Dole have to do with this? Like his Manafort's relationship with Reagan and Dole, whatever they may have been, I guess because Trump respects Reagan and Dole in some way. Like, does that mean he is not guilty? I guess the it's like 18 charges that were filed against him.
What does it matter what he was doing in the 70s and the 80s?
Again, and to, I want to say to give Trump credit, but to give the situation like more context in regard to this particular trial that is going on with Manafort, that has nothing to do with like Trump.
That's what I'm saying.
And actually, this trial right now, the one he is on Twitter commenting about, has nothing to do with Trump's actual campaign.
So why is he saying that this is about collusion? Like, what, this has nothing to do with collusion. A hoax. It's not actually about collusion.
It's not. If you look at like the court records, it doesn't say anything about that. It doesn't say anything about that. This case just has to do with Manafort's alleged illegal activity,
right?
With pro-Russian Ukrainian leaders,
yes,
and officials, which he's facing like 18 charges that include like bank fraud, tax evasion, money laundering, and
not filing as a foreign agent.
Yeah, not filing
or registering
as a foreign agent.
Right.
Those are the things that the trial that's going on right now surround these financial crimes, white collar crimes that he committed before he even worked for the Trump campaign. So just to give the situation more context and to kind of like take Trump out of it, technically this has nothing to do with Trump. So it doesn't make sense why this would trigger Trump, because he should know. It doesn't know, because it just sounds like he sounds like a man that thinks or knows the walls are closing in on him. Because like what Trump understands one thing, whether it's consciously or whether it's some sort of subconscious instinctual reaction, the best way to steer the situation is not in the court, not in actual court, but in the court of public opinion. You know what I'm saying? Letting it play out legally only makes him look bad. But why does it make him look bad if it's not connected to him? Maybe something that could come out during this trial may lead back to him. Maybe there's a paper trail that may lead back to him. Maybe he's afraid that Manafort will flip. But it doesn't matter, because if he's not guilty of anything, he should be cool.
But see, it makes no sense for him to actually tweet, "There's no collusion, it's a hoax," because this has nothing to, again, the Manafort case has nothing to do with collusion. So for Trump to explicitly state that, we already know that. Anybody that's familiar with the Paul Manafort case already knows that. So what good is it for Trump to say this has nothing to do with collusion? We already know that there are actual other charges that concerns Paul Manafort, and it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with you right now. So again, like, you know, why are you so triggered?
Yeah, if Trump isn't involved in any way or didn't benefit from anything Manafort does or did, he should not be jumpy. Like, actually, like if I was like Trump's counsel, if I was Giuliani, I would say like the best thing for you to do, President Trump, is to denounce the activities of Manafort. And say, yo, I wish I would have known this slimy guy was on my campaign. I thought because he had some connections and because he was a resourceful dude, I could trust him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like he could, there are ways that President Trump could get in front of this, but he's not. He could, like I said, he can denounce Manafort for these financial crimes he committed without actually like implicating himself, because like we are saying, this trial who Mueller referred to, I think it was the state of Virginia. I could be wrong. I think this is going on in the state of Virginia. Could be wrong though. But right now this is something that's going on even with Mueller and the special counsel doing their other thing. This is already in the courts right now.
Right. So this is the third tweet. Russian collusion with the Trump campaign, one of the most successful in history, is a total hoax. The Democrats paid for the phony and discredited dossier, which was, along with Comey, McCabe, Strzok, and his lover, the lovely Lisa Page, used to begin the witch hunt. Disgraceful. Look, there's a lot of... First of all, he has to pat himself on the back. One of the most successful campaigns in history. I don't know what that means because he won an election. Many people have won elections throughout history, and many people have won elections with a larger margin. And actually, when you're talking about total vote numbers, you actually didn't eclipse Hillary Clinton. So I don't know why this is one of the most successful in history. But anyway, it's total hoax. Democrats pay for the discredited dossier. You're not mentioning that it was not started with the Democrats. It was actually started with a organization that I believe was back in like Republicans like Marco Rubio that started the dossier. And then when Trump won the nomination,
they handed it over
because there was no reason. There was no reason to fund it anymore because that was it.
That was their candidate.
Exactly. So that's when the Democrat or Democratic organization picked it up and started funding it.
And they funded it, and they brought somebody else in to assist in more opposition research. And he is a private investigator, which is legal. That's not illegal to hire a private investigator to get opposition research on a candidate. What is illegal is to conspire with a foreign government. So a lot of people are trying to say, well, Hillary Clinton did it too. I'm like, stop it. Like, there's enough things to criticize Hillary Clinton on and the DNC without trying to conflate these two things.
Right.
And if you're trying to conflate them, then that means you are trying to deny something.
Yeah, you're trying to invent something just to get at it.
Like, just stop it,
But yeah, like I said, these tweets, and there were more, like I said, that we didn't address, but they seem manic. And again, if you believe in this QAnon madness, it doesn't make sense that he would be this manic or this scared or like this fearful. It doesn't seem reasonable that he would be shaking in his boots. And there is, I believe I did see a report saying that one reason why he may have rattled off these tweets is because I believe Robert Mueller wants to interview him, and that's been discussed for a long period of time. But I believe recently Robert Mueller wanted to interview him about obstruction. So Trump is not feeling too good about that. And I even saw something like I believe Robert Mueller or his team said that they would ask less questions about obstructions if they could meet for a face-to-face interview. So I don't know. Again, this is a long way from being over. We don't know what's going to come of it, but again, it just seems like Donald Trump is manic.
It just seems like he's making honestly a routine case involving the corruption of a United States citizen seem like more than what it is, because cases like this go on all the time. There's other current cases that kind of have similar elements to the Manafort case. The FBI and the Department of Justice are continuously going after things like money laundering, embezzlement, or any kind of like tax evasion, especially with our elected officials. If you just go Google it, you will find thousands of cases that the FBI opened up on people way before 2016, like over the past, I don't know, since the FBI was around. But there are actually current cases that kind of have similar elements to the Manafort case. So this is just like a typical white collar, like criminal case. And it doesn't seem to be suggesting that Donald Trump is guilty of anything. So again, and the only reason why it's like we're talking about Trump, or Trump is even I guess a topic of conversation, is because Manafort was his campaign manager. Well, more than that, because Donald Trump keeps bringing it up too. He keeps connecting himself to all of this. Yeah, and that's the only reason. So I mean, again, there is quite possible that Trump didn't really know anything. It's possible. It's quite possible that he did, because again, when you're in this game of politics, you're surrounding yourself with slime balls. But see, that's not the problem. Is Trump convinced everybody that he didn't, and that's the problem. So I understand what kind of game that he's playing in regards to business and politics, and having to surround yourself with a bunch of slimy and scumbags and everything. So it is quite possible that a lot of people who surrounded him were personally invested and tried to use this Trump campaign as a way to promote themselves in their own interest. But we don't know that, though. We don't know. Yo,
simply put, if Trump followers, Trump supporters, you know, if they want this subject to kind of fade away, simply ask your president to stop talking about it, because that's where it's coming from. He's bringing life to all of this day after day after day. And just quickly, going back to the it seemed like an order from Trump to Jeff Sessions to end the investigation. Republican Senator Susan Collins from Maine, she said that I think it's highly inappropriate and intemperate. She said it would be far better if the president just refrained from commenting and Mr. Mueller proceeds with his investigation, which after all has already resulted in more than 30 indictments and has led to a trial that is ongoing even as we speak.
A trial that the presiding judge is a Reagan appointee. So I don't know what he's talking about. Like,
just stop talking.
Stop talking again. Not only stop talking. If you're going to talk, like, why put out things that could be easily proven as false? Why put out falsehoods to try to deflect attention? You only put out truths to deflect attention. If he's going to put out some truth in order to deflect attention away from something that he feels is invalid, I'm all for that. But see, he's not, though. That's what leads us to believe that there's something there. But anyway.
On Wednesday night, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders addressed Trump derangement I can't even get it out. She addressed Trump derangement syndrome on Twitter. She said Trump derangement syndrome is becoming a major epidemic among Democrats. Instead of freaking out about the booming Trump economy, why not celebrate it?
Man, fuck this chick, man.
Of course, after that, she got clapped back. There were many clapbacks on Twitter. Trump derangement syndrome. Again, like, okay, so we have to point out this falsehood, okay? I want to point out this falsehood. She's talking about the booming economy. The economy is doing well on paper. It is doing well. It's growing at a very strong percentage. I believe it's growing at like 4.1, something like that, which is remarkable. It's something that hasn't been done in years.
But whose economy is growing?
That's the point you have to bring out. So it's doing, like, the economy for people that were already doing very well. You know, people have heavily invested in corporations, Wall Street bankers. They are doing extremely well in this economy. But the thing, or I guess like the fallacy of that comment is that wages are stagnant. Wage growth has not been anything like it should be. We don't have a living wage at all. We don't even have we have politicians that are actually advocating for it, but we don't. Like, could you even call it like a real movement at this point? Like, there are like small movements in states where they have actually got things done, like New York and in Washington. Yeah. But on a national level, like, no, we haven't got anything. We haven't gotten that done. So when you're talking about the middle class, that many people have to have a second job. When you're talking about people that are in poverty, you're not talking about a good economy. You're not talking about a booming economy for those particular type of people. So you still have people that are struggling to pay for their utilities and their rent and their food and the shelter. I mean, you actually have the same situation that you have had for years and years and years. It doesn't matter what the economy is doing for the very wealthy. Sarah Huckabee Sanders isn't addressing that.
But why is she not addressing that? I mean, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I guess she's the type of person that I guess you would want on your side, right?
Oh yeah, because she'll make excuses for anything you do.
Boy, she's a ride and lie chick.
Suckabee.
She's a ride and lie chick. She's a ride and lie chick. She'll lie for you if you pay her to do so.
Yeah. With ease.
With ease. Now, I guess like, what happens when terms like Trump derangement syndrome get introduced and put to the political atmosphere, it starts to become very weaponized. Does it exist? I could say it does in some certain, I guess, circumstances. It may.
Well, like, will people like have a irrational hatred or dislike?
I guess people. Yeah, I would say I guess that would apply to any politician.
True.
it wouldn't just apply to Trump.
No.
So yes, I believe those people exist. But I think terminology like that and phrases like that have a tendency to be weaponized anytime someone wants to criticize the president. And that's what we see. I've seen this, like that terminology being used regardless of the criticism and regardless of whether the criticism can be proved valid. People still use it as a go-to. So there's no separation between that which is a little over the top and that which is legitimate criticism. And this is one of those cases being used by the press secretary.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I don't really even have much to add to that, man. That's exactly what you said. Whether or not you have a legitimate criticism or not, TDS is used. That's what they say.
What about, I was reading a Truth Dig article, and the person who wrote the article coined another term. It's called Mueller derangement syndrome. I think I see more of that than Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, because you know why that would be more valid? Because you don't hear anything from Mueller. You don't hear anything from him.
So the derangement syndrome usually comes from imagination, right?
Yeah.
It comes from creating things that aren't there.
And they would have to, because he's not giving you anything.
But see, this dude right here we have as president is giving us a lot. A lot.
All right. On Thursday, President Trump issued a thank you to North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un on Twitter. He said, "Thank you to Chairman Kim Jong-un for keeping your word and starting the process of sending home the remains of our great and beloved missing fallen. I am not at all surprised that you took this kind action. Also, thank you for your nice letter. I look forward to seeing you soon."
What's the date on that? We just saw it. But
that
remind
is
me what the date is on
August 2nd. So that would be earlier today.
Earlier today. Now,
Yeah, actually, it was like late last night, early morning. Yeah.
What did we learn about 3-4 days ago about North Korea?
Oh, man. I think we talked about this on the last program, which was on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
And I believe we learned that U.S. intelligence agencies have concluded via satellite images that North Korea is actually building new ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Mm-hmm. So that would be not denuclearization.
So
that would not be denuclearization at all. That wouldn't be what Trump said. Trump famously said that North Korea was not a nuclear threat anymore.
Not only was North Korea not a nuclear threat any longer, they had agreed to dismantle their nuclear program immediately.
That's what Trump said. That's what Trump
I think
said.
That was an interview he had with Greta Van Susteren.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Yo, look, I think you said it. I think you said it on Tuesday on the last broadcast that the way to get at Donald Trump is to flatter him. And that's something that we saw South Korean President Moon Jae-in do. Mm-hmm. He understood that, and it looks like the North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un understands that as well. So he's sending him this nice, sweet, warm letter, and Trump is eating it up like it's a soft chocolate chip cookie. You remember in high school? Remember when we had those warm chocolate chip cookies?
Almost like
that was Trump.
All of them like wasn't almost like cooked all the way.
Yes, like they were soft. That was Trump. That's Trump. They were delicious, but that's what Trump does. He melts just like a warm, soft chocolate chip cookie. And Moon Jae-in, he knew the game, and Kim Jong-un, he knows the game as well. All you gotta do is flatter this dude, and he's gonna talk about you in all these nice ways, even though your own intelligence agencies are saying that he's not honoring whatever agreement that you two had. He's actually ramping up his nuclear technology, and still you say good things about him.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing about Kim Jong-un that has changed since Donald Trump was tweeting about him in a disparaging way. Because remember all those tweets Rocket Man, my button is bigger than yours. I'll blow your damn little ass country off the map. You know what I'm saying? All that.
Nothing has changed.
Really. Nothing.
There's one thing that's changed, but there's a reason behind it. They don't do those tests anymore, those nuclear tests. But we understand that they don't need to.
They didn't have to,
anymore.
and they actually couldn't. Yeah. Because it was reported back last year, like around October, that one of the tunnels, underground tunnels, had collapsed. So they actually couldn't do any tests.
Progress. Progress.
Okay, look, like both of us, we would love to have like the United States make progress with North Korea, but our foreign policy really prevents that. Not our rhetoric about the situation. We already know what time it is as far as the United States type of foreign policy. Mm-hmm. We also don't like photo ops and promise notes. We don't like this these kind of fake ceremonious events. You know what I'm saying? That make it look like, oh, everything's all good. Mm-hmm. So obviously we're not for, United States poking North Korea. We don't like that, definitely. Right. But we also don't like our representatives, our president, this administration, kind of hyping this situation up. First, hyping up the danger.
Yes.
And then coming
like it was an imminent threat.
Then sweeping in with actually no preconditions, and then signing some sort of promise note and acting as if everybody should give them a pat on the back. I don't like fake diplomacy. I don't like I guess the typical way the United States approaches its foreign policy, nor do I like fake showmanship. So don't get it wrong. Like we believe that North Korea should definitely have nuclear weapons. I really don't think he would ever use them. They're just an insurance policy.
Just like us.
Just like us.
All right, let's go to Flint.
Word.
All right. The city of The city of Flint, Michigan, is still dealing with a water crisis as a result of the city's water source being changed from Lake Huron to the Flint River in a move to cut costs. So the ramification of that decision was lead contamination, lead poisoning, and permanent damage to the cognitive development in many children. There is a class action lawsuit against 27 defendants, but on Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Judith E. Levy dismissed several of the defendants from the case, including Governor Rick Snyder. So, in her decision Wednesday, Levy dismissed at least 6 defendants from the case, including Snyder, the state of Michigan, former Michigan Department of Environmental Quality Director Dan Wyant, Flint Emergency Manager Ed Kurtz, Flint Mayor Dane Wallen, and former Michigan Department of Health and Human Services official Nancy Peeler.
Yeah, the opinion of the judge and why the judge dismissed the case was based on Snyder and other...
Well, not dismissed the case.
Well,
dismissed some of the people from the case.
Sorry, dismissed some of these people from the case. Was based on sovereign immunity.
Yeah, well, that was with the state of Michigan. She threw out the state of Michigan because of...
And what is that, like, what does sovereign immunity surround? Like... The idea that public officials can't be held at fault civilly for things that they do while they're acting in their position on their job, which fucking sucks.
She basically, like, with the state, it was like, yeah, it's a sovereign state, I guess, and you can't sue it. You know, it's something that can't be accountable, I guess, as a state as a whole. But with Governor Rick Snyder, she said that the plaintiffs couldn't prove that he was aware of staff emails describing the Flint River as downright scary.
Man, see, dude, So, he wasn't aware of staff emails. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Isn't he supposed to be, he's essentially supposed to be a manager?
Yeah, he's the leader of the state. He's the leader of the state, so
he's supposed to be aware of, like, his employees.
Yeah. This is what she wrote. She said plaintiffs have alleged that other defendants involved in the top level decisions surrounding the switch to the Flint River knew of and disregarded risks to the health and safety of Flint's water users, but they have not made those same allegations with regard to Governor Snyder.
So, like, who is going to be at fault here? Is it going to be the emergency managers that he appointed?
No, because as you saw, one of those that were dismissed from this case was Flint emergency manager Ed Kurt.
Basically, nobody's going to be held at fault because
maybe you can make a case. I'm not saying that I don't believe it at all. I think that Governor Rick Snyder should be held accountable.
It's a civil case. It's a civil case. Like a criminal
and
case.
I believe there was some evidence that showed like there's no way he did not know, right? But the government official that was actually in charge, the one that actually made the decision to switch the water source was the emergency manager. This would have came up for a vote with city officials, but since a state appointed emergency manager was
they seize authority
given to
from
Flint,
the mayor and the city council.
Yes. So that emergency manager, Ed Kurtz, was dismissed from the case. So you're telling me the individual
made the decision
to
switch the water
to switch the water source to a contaminated river.
I think that
is not liable at all,
and a river that was kind of known to be an industrial wasteland historically. So he made that decision to switch to that source without taking proper protocol and provisions to make sure that water source was safe. Now, like.
That's disgusting.
We could say like the city's like protocol in regards to keeping like the pipes, clean and safe. You can say that there were problems all along.
Yeah,
you can say that. But I'm sorry, once you take over a city, once you appoint emergency city management, and now the city council and the mayor of the city don't have any say in anything, it is up to that. Again, he's an emergency manager. It is up to that manager to do his research. It's up to them. It's up to them to do their research.
So how could he be dismissed from the case then?
Without like, I don't know.
That makes no sense. Like, of course, okay, so there are other government officials that have been left, but you're telling me, I'm sure that some of these people knew what was going on. I'm certain of it. But you're telling me top dog for the city of Flint that was making the decisions, the emergency manager. You're telling me the one that switched the water source to the contaminated Flint River is not culpable whatsoever?
And see, the thing is, like when that emergency manager, city manager was appointed, the people had a problem with it.
Yeah, and, of course.
And there was a lawsuit filed on behalf of several Michigan residents because they thought that not being able to, I guess, choose their officials was a violation of the Voter Rights Act. But guess what?
And they can't make their own decisions.
They can't make their own decisions.
Even vote on it.
They can't even vote on it. So, unfortunately, the U.S. Court of Appeals struck down a lawsuit and upheld the law that they passed. I forgot the name of it. It was like 436 PN something, PA 436. I could be wrong. That was the city manager, emergency city management law that Snyder signed.
Right.
So
look, where we're at right now is that the class action lawsuit is still alive and it's still going forward. So that's the good news. But the awful news is that the key players in this whole situation are not going to be held accountable for their actions. And that's a damn travesty. That's not justice whatsoever. So through this lawsuit, the plaintiffs, they're seeking to set up a Flint Victims Compensation Fund for 100,000 Flint residents affected by the water crisis. So I hope that they are successful in this class action lawsuit because they deserve it, no doubt. They need it. They deserve it. They deserve justice.
Definitely, because there are certain situations that a lot of the people of Flint have found themselves in that the government is not taking care of. You know what I'm saying? Because they're replacing certain pipes. They're not going to replace
not all. Yeah.
They're not replacing all pipes.
Yeah, and when you're talking about, because of course they're going to be replacing some, you know, some city pipes and things like that. But when you're talking about the pipes that actually make it all the way to the homes, are you going to be replacing all of that?
Nope. That's the correct answer is no. They're not going to be replacing all those pipes. So people are just kind of like they're stuck like Chuck.
And you know what? Mentioning that, well, actually. Going to a tangent, but it's connected to this.
Right.
You remember some weeks ago, Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla,
he kind of put himself out there.
Put himself out there on Twitter saying that he was going to fund the effort to fix the water problems in Flint for people that are affected by it, and he was also going to provide water filters to those that needed it. Again, this was a few weeks ago. Haven't heard another word. I'm wondering
if he talked to any of the city officials about it.
Haven't heard a word. That's all I'm saying. Haven't heard a word.
And you would think if it was something that was ongoing, he wouldn't keep it a secret. If it was, you know, plans,
you would want to be loud about that.
Plans that were in the work, there's some kind of ongoing communication.
Yeah, not just to tell the nation about it, but to give people hope too. That help is on the way.
Help is on the way.
All right, so let's move on. Let's go to
NFL. Or you want to do?
We could do either or. We can do the NFL. We can get that out the way. All right. So, recently, Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones addressed the issue of players kneeling during the national anthem. Jones said that he wished that President Trump would stop talking about the issue so often. But on the issue and the Cowboys' policy is that players stand for the anthem, toe on the line. That's what he said. His son and the Dallas Cowboys executive vice president, Stephen Jones, well, he went several steps further than what his daddy did. So Stephen Jones told KTCK 96.7 FM that players should stand for the national anthem, quote, if they want to be a Dallas Cowboy. Stephen Jones also indicated that the team would punish players if they chose to stay in the locker room during the national anthem. Now, harken back to weeks ago when the NFL and the NFL owners, they came to an agreement on this new policy for players standing for the national anthem. All players, all team personnel was going to, they would have to stand for the national anthem if they were on the field. But there was an exception. If team staff or players did not want to stand for the national anthem, they could stay in the tunnel, they can stay in the locker room, somewhere that's not on the field. What Stephen Jones has just now said was, we don't give a damn about the new policy that we just helped implement. If players stay in the damn locker room, we're going to find them as a team. Wow. That's a pretty bold statement. Now, we do understand now, too, that the new policy that the NFL did implement, it's been put on hold because of the whole hubbub, all the controversy about the potential of discipline. When the Miami Dolphins had filed some paperwork about discipline for a number of different infractions. One of the infractions was not standing for the not standing for the national anthem, and the possible punishment could have been a 4-game suspension. So after all that controversy, the NFL and the NFL Players Association said, you know what, we're going to put this on hold. We're going to talk among each other and try to come to some solution.
It looks like the NFL trying to be hands off with this, because the more teams separate themselves from one another on this issue, the worse it looks. Because you're going to have certain owners and certain coaches that want to do one thing, and then certain owners and coaches that want to do another thing. Mm-hmm. And who is actually going to look bad in this situation? It's going to be the owners and the coaches that are making it a requirement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But see, like in this situation, I don't know what's more morally repugnant. Like, I guess moral posturing from crooked evangelical leaders, or moral posturing from doggone CEOs and corporations and their leaders. Like, I don't know if, Stephen and Jerry Jones are patriotic. I don't know that. Maybe. But I think their positioning right now in regard to this issue is 5% patriotic and 95% market-based ambition. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
Because I just can't see it as anything else. It just seems like they're trying to harness the intrinsic value of patriotism and attach it to their brand.
But they're not being honest about it. You understand? Like, you know for a fact that they're focused on the bottom line. But they don't want to come out and say it. So they're like, oh, this is all about patriotism. This is all about the national anthem. It's not about money. No. About doing the right thing.
They're trying to, again, it's all about the market and them understanding who is in that market and then capitulating to that kind of superficial patriotic attitude. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
But think about what this looks like, though. Think about what this looks like. Because, of course, they're NFL players, so they make millions of dollars, so you don't see it like this. But what are they saying? They're like, hey, look at our organization, and look at how we can control our players. We keep our players in line. Yep. We keep our players in line. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're not using the other word, but it's essentially the same thing. And I guess it's hard for people to see that because they make millions and millions of dollars, but the message is the same. And essentially they're telling the fans to, hey, you can come to our games. You don't have to worry about these uppity Negroes causing problems and rocking the boat. And
not on this team.
And making you feel bad.
Right.
So come to our game, America's team. Cowboys, Cowboy Nation. See, that's the message that I get. I could be going out on a limb.
No, you're not. And you know what? You know what's even more disgusting about this? Well, I don't. You know what? I won't say that it's more disgusting, but it was a disgusting thing to see when you heard, or when you saw and you heard Dak Prescott talking about this. So Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and he said about kneeling during the national anthem that he doesn't support it, and that it, quote, takes away from the joy of football. Now, this is absolute nonsense because I understand that he's trying to toe the company line. I understand that he's trying to be a good boy for his franchise, for his ownership. But your explanation makes no sense because if you're saying that kneeling during the national anthem takes away from the joy of football, are you playing football during the national anthem? The game has not started whatsoever. It's before football is played that this is actually going on. Nobody is like, once that whistle, like once that kickoff happens, nobody's like on the field like, you know what? I'm going to shout out to Kaepernick. I'm taking this play off because I'm kneeling. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah, we kind of joked about that like a long time ago when we were dealing with this kind of same subject. Nobody's like in the middle of a play is taking a knee or throwing up a black power fist.
Like running the football.
Running the football. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's
doing that after the play either.
Takes away from the joy of football.
It's not like Kaepernick was at quarterback saying like B25. B25, audible. Police brutality. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
nobody's doing that.
Cops are bad. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like screaming out like woke phrases.
Right.
He wasn't screaming. You know what I'm saying? He's like,
this was before the game. It doesn't take away from any joy of football. And then, so on Wednesday, he said, Dak Prescott, the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, he said on Wednesday, quote, it's 2 minutes out of our day that we could also be in. It's 2 minutes out of our day that we could also be spending embracing what our country should be and what our country is going to be one day that we know that it's not right now. That is the sad part about it, that it's not. Again, this is complete bullshit. You know how he's talking about what our country is not right now, but what we hope it will be in the future. You know how Dak, man. You know how you get the country to resemble a place that you want it to be? You gotta kind of talk about it, right? You gotta actually kind of address the issues, right? And what we see about this whole situation with the kneeling during the national anthem is that nobody actually wants to talk about the issues. Players have been very clear, and they have articulated their position very clearly about why they are taking a knee during the national anthem. But the people that are anti these players don't want to hear it. They're saying, stop, I don't want to hear you. Na 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 na. Stand up. Na 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 na. Stand up. So if Dak actually wants this country to become the better place that he knows it is not right now, but that someday he hopes it is, then you should probably be supportive of people that are trying to bring or trying to raise awareness to the issues that are keeping us from being that better nation.
I see what you're saying. So in order to get to that better place, we have to address those issues that like don't make us that better place, that are keeping us from creating that better place. So
that
until we
sense.
address those issues, that better place won't be created. It just doesn't make any sense to be like, hey, you know, quiet down right now. Deal with those things to make us feel comfortable. But you know, it's like, it's not really surprising because we can't really just see Dak as a football player. We got to see him as a part of this fabric of America. We have to like consider that he too like kind of buys into that symbolic patriotism. We can't assume just because he's a football player,
that's true, that
somehow like that experience as a football player is going to override his kind of nationalistic sense of being. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, I can't really blame Jerry Jones and Steven. His last name is Jones too.
That's his son.
His son.
Yeah.
I can't blame them. I mean, I can't blame them completely because who are they trying to appeal to? You know what I'm saying? Who are they trying to appeal to? I think they understand that there are plenty of Americans, you know, that kind of buy into that kind of idea of unconditional patriotism. You know what I'm saying? There are plenty of people that are willing to sell themselves out or like, I don't know, like sell the better part of themselves out that represents empathy and humanity in order to feel better about watching football. Yeah. There are too many Americans that are willing to sell themselves out and just ignore that better part of themselves, ignore the better part of humanity, so their feelings won't get hurt when they watch football. So you got a bunch of Americans selling themselves out, no different than our politicians do, just on a different kind of tip. You know what I mean?
Last thing I'll say about the Dallas Cowboys is I want to bring up Greg Hardy. Okay? Anybody that watches football and is really, familiar with the players, they know who Greg Hardy is. And actually, if you don't really pay attention to football, but you were paying attention to the news about 3-4 years ago, that name would ring a bell too. So this is relevant because Greg Hardy and the Dallas Cowboys are connected. So again, as Stephen Jones said, if you want to be a Dallas Cowboy, you stand for the national anthem, right? That's what takes me to Dallas. I mean, that's what takes me to Greg Hardy. So Greg Hardy, he's a former NFL defensive end. He played for the Carolina Panthers, but in 2014, he was accused by his former girlfriend of savagely beating her and threatening to kill her. The Panthers placed him on the commissioner's exempt list after the first game, and he stayed there for the rest of the season. The pictures of the injuries of Hardy's former girlfriend were horrific. They were absolutely disgusting. It was a savage beating. So she ended up changing her story, but many believed it was because she was scared of Hardy. So NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell found, quote, sufficient credible evidence that Hardy was guilty and suspended him for 10 games, which was later reduced to 4 games. Enter the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys signed Hardy in March of 2015. He was suspended for the first 4 games to begin the season, but for the last 12, he played as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas Cowboys were okay with the man that savagely beat his former girlfriend, or his girlfriend at the time. I don't remember if it was his girlfriend at the time or a former girlfriend, threatened to kill her. The pictures, if you see them online, I mean, if you look it up and you see them online, it was horrific. But the Dallas Cowboys said Greg Hardy can have a place as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. But people that kneel for the national anthem, you have no place inside this organization.
Remember what I said about moral posturing? Empty moral posturing. And that's an example of how their position, the position they're taking in regards to people standing is very morally empty.
All right. Where do you want to go now?
We can either go to that chick in New York.
Nah, let's go to the Colorado.
Aurora.
Yeah.
The shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a weird one, man.
Yeah,
this is a weird
weird
one. Like when I first read it, I read like more of like a Cliff Notes version of what happened, and it seemed like every article that I went to had the kind of the same, like they had like the scaffolding of the story, but they didn't have the whole structure. It was just like very brief, but it's pretty.
Yeah,
weird.
it's a little weird. So a homeowner in Aurora, Colorado was shot and killed by a police officer inside his home just moments after shooting and killing an intruder. 73-year-old Richard Black, his wife, adult son, and grandson were inside the home Monday morning when a naked man kicked down their door. The family attorney, Siddhartha Rathod, said the 11-year-old grandson was sleeping on the couch when the intruder began assaulting him, dragging him to the bathroom, trying to choke and drown him. Richard Black, the grandfather of the boy, struggled with the intruder while his wife called 911. The attorney claims that Black's wife told the operator what her husband was wearing, what her son was wearing, and that there was a naked intruder inside the home. At some point, Richard Black grabs his 9mm firearm and shoots the intruder in the bathroom. I believe he shot him twice. According to the family, they believed other intruders got into the house, so Richard Black went looking for them with his gun. When he walked into the living room, he was shot and killed by a police officer that was responding to the scene. The police officer's name has not been released, but he has been placed on administrative leave.
They were supposed to have like a live stream with more details surrounding. I didn't get a chance to watch it. They're like 2 hours behind us.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to watch it. It should be already available on the Aurora Police Department's Facebook page.
So the son, his name is Chad Hayashi. He had an interview with ABC News, and he claims that he awoke to a woman in his doorway. This is going to the claim that there were several intruders that were inside the home. And he said he woke to a woman that was in his doorway, and she said to him, "My son is on drugs and he has your baby." So then at that time, I believe he jumped up.
Well, yeah, he saw, apparently he looked over her shoulder and saw the bathroom light on. And he said he saw another man in the house and the bathroom light on, to which he immediately jumped up and ran into the bathroom and saw the guy's name is Dejon Harper.
Right. The intruder.
The
Naked intruder.
The naked intruder. Soaking wet in the tub, holding his son, or choking his son, and biting his left ear.
Yes.
He says that he actually saw blood coming down. According to his account, he was able to he pushed on the guy's throat to get to release his mouth from his son, but it didn't work, so he had to gouge him with his knuckles inside his eyeball. So he was able to wrestle his son away from the guy somehow. There's some conflict in his account, but
With what the attorney said.
With the attorney, there's conflicts everywhere. But in these situations, sometimes the accounts are going to be a little spotty, because normally you're not sitting there filing every single moment in your head. Right. But apparently they struggle with Harper, and his stepfather pulled out a gun and shot him.
Right. And then again, they said that there were other intruders, of course. And so the son saw the woman,
and he said as soon as his father went around the corner, he heard gunshots, and that's when he came out. He was he already knew his father was gone just by how he was laying there. So there's some speculation as to when the officers fired the shots. According to the family's attorney, they allegedly fired shots from outside the house. But we don't know. We didn't know that at the time because body camera hadn't been released yet.
So, again, the officer that was responding to the scene and did shoot Richard Black, his name has not been released, but we do know a little bit about him. So this was the same officer that was involved in the deadly shooting at a motel on June 27th, just last month. Well, not last month. I forgot this is August now. In June 27th, end of June, he was involved in another shooting. He was with two other officers that heard gunfire and began investigating at the Biltmore Motel. They saw shell casings on the ground and then saw a man running that matched a description provided by a witness. They chased after him, and at some point they came face to face with the suspect and told him to drop his weapon multiple times. The officer who killed Richard Black in this latest situation, he shot the suspect and killed him. The other two officers did not fire their weapons. So all three were wearing body cams, but the footage has not been released. It has been reviewed, and this officer was placed on administrative leave, but following that,
that's routine.
Yeah,
that's
it's routine to be placed on administrative leave, but then 18 days later, on July 15th, he was reinstated to active duty. So they said that they reviewed the tapes, and I guess it was justified that he was placed back on active leave. Again, those tapes had not been released, but it's just, I mean, it's more than troublesome that June 27th, he's involved in a shooting where he kills a man. Two other officers did not fire their weapons. 18 days later, he responds to another situation, shoots and kills a man.
So what does that tell you, Will? What does that tell you?
Might be quick on the draw, right?
Might not just that. Might be quick on the draw, but think about, like the consequences. What are the consequences of his actions going to be in this case?
Yeah, man.
That's going to be interesting because they said the other one was justified, right? And so people had something to say about it. And so essentially they let somebody back on the force because they thought that he I guess did his job correctly and he was able to continue doing his job. Then this situation comes up,
and this is more egregious because that dude, I believe he did have a gun, but this particular individual, he had a gun, but he's in his own house, and he shot the perpetrator that invaded his home. Now, the one thing that I want to point out, and I mean, I already read it off, but the one thing that is just integral in this story is that, per the family attorney, Richard Black's wife called 911, and when she was on the phone with the 911 operator, she told the 911 operator that my son is wearing this. My husband is wearing this. There is a naked intruder.
So you already know you're going into a situation where there is an intruder in someone's house, and you've been given a description of what the intruders are wearing and what your family members are wearing. Right. And quite honestly, that's a heads up move by the lady.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wouldn't have even had the presence of mind to do that. Like, she's already foreseeing that officers may enter the house, and she's probably considering the fact that was it her? It wasn't. It was whose wife was it? Was it his wife? Was it Black's wife, or was it Hayashi's?
No, that called the police.
Yeah,
it was his wife. It was Richard Black's wife.
So she was probably she probably was cognizant of the fact that he's probably going to get his gun. So let me tell the dispatcher how they all look, so if the situation comes, you know what I'm saying, they will not mistake my son or my husband. Yeah. Sorry, they will not mistake my son, or actually my son or my husband.
Yes,
anybody in that house
for the intruder.
Right. So she had a lot of foresight, in my opinion.
My biggest takeaway from this is, I mean, definitely, it saddens me that an innocent man lost his life. He was just trying to defend his home, and he did, and then he got killed by a police officer that was responding to the scene. So it's definitely a sad situation. It's tragic. My biggest takeaway though is, like, I guess I'm thinking about, be careful when you call the police. Okay. And now this woman was careful, you know, like Mike said, you know, she had the foresight to say, hey, my husband's wearing this and my son is wearing this. So that was a good decision. But I'm not saying that in this situation that they shouldn't have called the police. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just saying in just in a variety of situations, just be careful when you call the police. Like, don't call for frivolous reasons. Don't call unless it's absolutely necessary. But another thing that I'm thinking about is, I don't know if this is just me, like me personally, I always think about like what if scenarios. I always think about that. And it could be attributed to, I just like to take precautions, or I'm just a very paranoid person, and I think a lot of it has to do with I'm black too. So all three I think is kind of in this whole equation. But I've thought about people entering my home, breaking in the home, and what would I do? And I've thought about, hey, if they got a gun and, somehow I was able to wrestle it away from them, maybe they got killed, whatever, and I have the situation under control, what am I going to do? The one thing I'm not going to do is, one, I'm not going to approach the police. I'm not even going to actually reveal myself. I'm not going to go looking for other perpetrators, other invaders in the house. I'm going to be in a safe situation and just stay there until the police get there. Now, when they get there, I'm going to call 911. Straight up. I've thought about this. I don't know how many times. I'm calling 911 again. And I'm saying, yo, I have the gun. Okay. The situation is under control. This is what I'm wearing. I don't want the cop mistaking me for anybody. So I want to know the cop's name that is responding to the situation. I want you to tell him what's going down. I just don't want to get shot in this situation. So, I understand that Richard Black wanted to
protect his family,
protect his home, go into search for the other invaders. I'm just saying, there's no way I would have done that. I would have got to a safe location just hold up right there.
Here's my problem. Like, regardless of, whether the particular officer that did end up shooting Black, even if he didn't know the details, you still know what kind of situation you're going into. Oh, no doubt. You know that you're going...
I'm not letting him off the hook.
You're going into a home invasion situation, so there are going to be multiple bodies moving around. Yeah. So again, we have not seen the body cam yet. They were supposed to have a press conference at 3 o'clock their time, and they're in Colorado. So it was at like 5 our time.
I feel that if the body cam does get released, and there's no telling if it does.
Hold up.
I just feel that
I'm gonna see.
I'm just feeling that whatever's on that camera, whatever on that tape, I feel like it's gonna be bad, man. And of course, it's already bad because somebody lost their life. But it just feels like this particular police officer probably shot too fast in this situation. He probably did. So, again, this is something that'll play itself out. Again, this just happened. This just happened early Monday morning. So, sad situation, man. Just be careful out there. Again, be careful about when you call the police. Be careful about these kind of situations too, when police officers are responding to an incident at your home and there might be a gun involved, man. But before you show yourself to police officers, make sure you're protected, because police are humans too, and we see all the time they make grave errors.
Yeah, they had the press conference. It was 2 hours ago, so they must have started on time.
Oh, you know what? And this is a good time to bring this up too, because I just talked about police officers make grave errors, right? In Los Angeles, the LAPD, in 2 separate situations recently, they have killed either a hostage or just a bystander a bystander when they're trying to take down a suspect. There was one case where there was a man wielding a knife, and there was a woman that was near the situation. I mean, you can go see this. I don't remember the names of these victims right now, but there's one situation where the police officers they're pelting him with these rubber bullets, but it's not doing enough, and he actually takes the knife, and there's a woman right there. And he takes the knife and he has it up to her neck. And I'm not sure if he started cutting or not. I did see some reports saying that he maybe started like cutting her or something. So the police officer started shooting him. They shot her, killed her. Now they killed the suspect as well, but they shot and killed her as well. In another situation, this was at a Trader Joe's. There was an individual, a man, that was being chased by police officers because he had kidnapped somebody. I believe it was an 18-year-old girl. He had kidnapped her, and I believe he had shot his father or maybe his mother before. So they were chasing after him, and while they were chasing him, he was shooting back at the police officers. So then at some point, he crashes his vehicle right next to a Trader Joe's. He pops out the vehicle, runs inside the Trader Joe's. Police officers are shooting at him while he enters the Trader Joe's. As he's entering the Trader Joe's, one of the managers at the Trader Joe's is walking out of the store. She gets hit with some bullets. She dies.
It's easy. That's negligence. I mean, I've seen examples of some of the training they go through. And they do go through training where they have to distinguish between like who is the intended target, who is the suspect at hand, and who is innocent bystanders. They go through this.
Yeah, they do.
They do go through this.
You would think it's rigorous training. You would think so. Man,
and there's no telling how I would behave in that situation. But guess what? That's irrelevant because I'm not a cop, nor am I trying to be.
Right.
Yeah, I know this. I think like the details surrounding the situation are just really, really weird. It's not just the cop, shooting someone trying to protect his family, but just like how everything went down. Like some naked dude and some other woman are in your house. They break in your house, kick your door down, grab your 11-year-old son, take him in the bathroom.
And the mom is just like, yo, he got your baby.
It's just weird. And you know what's interesting? On all the articles I read, I thumbed through 5 or 6 different ones, and none of them said anything about what happened to the woman, this mystery woman that was standing in the doorway.
Yeah. Because I don't think the son that actually saw her, I don't think he said like what happened to her.
He never said anything. Like the son, the black's wife, no one said anything.
And something would have had to happen because this was something that was playing out quickly. And by the time Richard Black got to the living room, he was shot dead. So you would think that she would have had to still be in the house.
Still been in the house, and we haven't actually heard from the Aurora Police Department about that either.
Maybe she jumped out of windows.
Maybe she jumped out of the window. That's what's so really weird about this. So it's not just the fact that, or I guess I wouldn't say it's a fact, but it's not just the idea and the probability that that a cop shot like, I guess hastily. It's just everything surrounding the situation. There's just so much that I need answers for, man.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to Uber while black. You ready for that? Uber while black, man. Hashtag Brooklyn Becky. That's another. You haven't seen that?
What is that?
Hashtag Brooklyn Becky. They've been calling her that too. Hashtag Brooklyn Becky. Yeah, you'll know what we're talking about in just a minute. So in the Park Slope section of Brooklyn, New York, which is a wealthy area in Brooklyn, a white woman called the police on a black woman who was outside waiting for an Uber. Darcel Obregon filmed the white lady seemingly on the phone with the police and posted it to Facebook, writing, quote, "I hid in the doorway outside of a random apartment in Park Slope to shield myself from the rain and call an Uber. No more than 3 minutes later, a young woman who lives in the building opened the front door and told me that I cannot stand there." So this is the video that she recorded.
she's not recording me. You're standing on public property, ma'am. You know that, right? This is public. This is not public property. So you're sending an officer? Because now she's recording me. Union President, yeah, Fifth Avenue. She's recording me right now. I've asked her to leave and she's refusing. I'm not sure, no, but she's recording me. This is a female. About 180 pounds. I'm not sure. She's pretty old to be doing this, so like 50. Heavy set. I would consider that. Some jeans and a shirt. She won't leave. Black. I mean, she's standing right here, so when they get here, they'll see her. Blue jeans, some rips in it, like she's 20. Absolutely do not know her, and that's why I want her off my private property. Torres. We're the owners of this building, so, why? Probably from my cell phone. Why? Because she's recording me. I'm not saying my personal information. I'm sorry.
Okay. Go on. Go.
If you go anywhere, you'll be committing a crime as well. You know that, right?
Okay.
And do my work.
No, I refuse to.
Oh my God.
You're leaving. It's against the law. She's trying to leave. Yeah, the license plate number, in Brooklyn. Yeah. Union President.
You know, like
That's Brooklyn Becky.
maybe
Okay? That's Brooklyn
maybe
Becky.
I'm just like being too judgmental and just looking at this person just with too much detail, you know what I'm saying? Like too much detail in my assessment. But one thing that I did notice is how she was moving her mouth.
It was a little strange, right?
It did not seem natural. I don't know if any of y'all saw the way she was moving her mouth, but like it just seemed weird. It seemed like she was, you know. Usually people who move their mouth like that are on stuff.
Yo, she didn't seem like she was all together. And you saw at the end, right? So throughout the whole well, at the first part of the video, she's like, "Yo, she won't leave. She won't leave." And then at the end, "You can't leave. That's against the law."
I was like, wait a second.
What?
Isn't that what you wanted? You wanted her to leave? And what is getting a license plate going to do? That's not her car. That's the Uber. She might be dropped off. They looking for a car. They looking for somebody who ain't there no more.
Man,
you see how much sense that doesn't make? Once you find out somebody's getting to an Uber, like, it's done. And what was illegal about her leaving? Like, first of all, if I see someone calling the cops on me, regardless of if I'm doing something or not, I'm not obligated to stay there.
No, you're not. Look, man. Yo, I think this is a teaching moment for all of us. I think it is, man, because I think what this teaches us is that some white people, not all, of course, but some white people believe that black people can't occupy public spaces because they're actually private spaces.
It was her building, dog. It was her building. She owned the building.
But you know what? Though I doubt she actually owned the building and that she actually only lived in the building. Let's say she did own the building. You know, once you step outside of the building, you don't own that anymore. That's public property, right? You didn't have a yard, okay? It's not like you live in a suburb.
It's extension.
Yeah.
The sidewalk is an extension of her apartment.
You don't have land. You don't have land. See, you probably own, or if you own or rent, whatever, you have access to personal space inside the building. You don't have a right to private space outside of the building. See, that was the sidewalk, so she could stand there. And you know, another thing, if she thought that, you know, something really wasn't on the up and up with this woman, like she looks outside and there's this woman standing right there, right? And she's feeling like, oh my gosh, I gotta call the police because something's happening, right? You know what you don't do when you feel threatened? You don't open the door. She opened the door. If this was a situation where you needed to call the police, why would you open the door and invite yourself to harm? Why would you do that?
She just wanted a confrontation. I mean, and some people have brought the fact or brought the possibility that she might have had mental issues. That's true. I don't know how that explains the way she's moving her jaw, though. But I don't know. Maybe there's some medicine that, you know, people with mental issues take that could cause that. So that might be a symptom. But either way,
she was functional, man.
Well, she was functional, and all that doesn't matter because what she was doing made no sense.
No,
you know what I'm saying.
But we've seen things like this before. So.
Like, we don't know what it could be. We don't really know. We don't know this Brooklyn Becky. We don't know her background. We don't know her history. We don't know her, you know, her profile. But
somebody said she was in more danger from walking barefoot out there.
Yeah, somebody. Yes, of course. I think somebody in the chat further said something about where were her shoes.
I'm saying,
of course.
Yo, look, hold up. I came from Brooklyn. Okay. Now, I don't walk around in my bare feet here in the country. I know in South Carolina, you know, in suburbs, it's more pervasive. You know, people feel like, hey, this is my land. You know, I'm going to walk bare feet, you know, and I feel nice with nature on, you know, on my feet. Look, I've never done it. And I know a lot of that has to do with me coming from the inner city, you know, New York City. And not just that it's not really done in the city, but you got to think about why, too. Like, streets is dirty. Streets is dirty.
You know what
These are public streets.
You know what New York is known for? It's rats.
You walking around in your bare feet, man.
So basically,
that's disgusting.
She's
man.
more at risk from walking around in her bare feet.
She need a damn tetanus shot.
Yeah, see now. You know what, man?
I'm trying to pull it out of you. I'm trying to pull something out of you. Oh. Hush mouth, huh?
All I'm saying is I wouldn't mess with him. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So, all right, this is gonna be the last story, right? This is the story that Mike don't know nothing about yet, right? But it's I thought it was appropriate, right? And I got a question to ask you after the end of my little spiel right here. Got a little question to ask you, right? All right, so on Thursday morning in Chicago, a 51-year-old man had part of his ear bit off by a stranger. The man was standing on a sidewalk when another man approached and asked for a cigarette lighter. The man did not have one, so he told the man that approached him that I don't have one. The stranger then punched the guy in the back of the head and went for his ear, biting part of it off. So the victim was taken to a hospital, and the attacker is still at large. So there is no word on if the assailant spit out the ear or if he swallowed it. So Mike, you gonna defend this dude too, man? What you got to say about this dude, man?
Number one, this is definitely not the same situation.
Why not? It's not filled with details. And we had a lack of details with Tatiana too.
But we do know this.
Go ahead.
We do know this.
Okay.
They don't know each other. It's different.
They don't.
They have no past.
Right.
Right. This dude who just standing on the side of the road, he didn't invite this dude to the house.
So it was the connection that Jessica Collins and Tatiana had.
See,
and it could have gone Ari.
See, like that situation, like the grab him by the nose.
Yeah, the nose snatcher.
The nose snatcher.
Yeah.
That does sound like some horrible like C or D movie on Netflix.
I'm saying, man.
But there's a little more to draw from that Tatiana situation. You know what I'm saying?
That name too. See, I know you putting the emphasis on that name. Like it comes with attitude.
It does. I think that's maybe what it is. Man. but there seems to be more to draw. With this, there's just not enough to create a narrative, man. There was enough with the other case, you know what I'm saying? Got him by the nose.
Yo, you know what I think, man? I'm gonna go out and say it, man. I think bath salts are back.
Oh, you think bath salts are back?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
I think they're back because, yo, check this out. We did it just a couple weeks ago about the nose snatcher. Jessica Collins biting the nose off and then swallowing it, right? Just a few minutes ago, we talked about the naked intruder that was in the bathroom and he was biting an ear. Now in this story, a total stranger walks up to somebody wanting a cigarette lighter. He doesn't have it. He wiles out, goes for the ear, bites part of it off.
You know what? He probably just was wanting the ear the whole time. He probably wanted the ear the whole time and just was using like the fact that dude ain't had like a lighter or a cigarette.
Yeah, a cigarette.
A cigarette as like pretext.
So he wanted to put his defenses down.
He like got to put his defenses down. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, you got a cigarette? So like, cause that's a routine question.
Yeah, man.
You can't walk up to somebody and be like, yo, I want to bite your ear off.
Stupid as hell,
you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna like your defenses are gonna be up. We need to find out if this dude is like related to Mike Tyson.
I'm saying, man.
Or we need to find out if this dude is related to Tatiana.
Dog, you need to perform some toxicology tests, man. I'm telling you, man. Like somebody said, yeah, bath salts never really went away. But like I said, you saw it in the news. It was in Florida, but you saw a number of cases where like mugs was eating faces. Mugs were eating people because they were on bath salts. So it's like I haven't seen that, and I think that was 2012 when that was happening. So I haven't heard anything more about that. And this is 2018. This is 6 years later now, and now we're starting to see stories of biting people. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Or maybe it's something else, something that I've always alluded to. What do I talk about all the time? What do I talk about all the time? What's right around the corner? What apocalypse?
You talking about the zombie apocalypse
is right around the corner.
I knew you was going there. The zombie apocalypse.
The zombie apocalypse,
yeah.
Man. All these zombie shows that have been going on has been popularized around.
So we carry the trait already, right?
Already, man, it's already in us, and maybe something just triggers it. Maybe something we take triggers it. Maybe this is the beginnings of the zombie apocalypse, man. Like I've been saying all this time.
And in Jessica Collins' case, it was Tatiana's attitude that triggered that damn thing.
It was probably both. That's why you gotta watch out, man, because you don't know who got it.
Yeah,
you don't know who.
And you know what's gonna set them off.
You don't know, again. And with Tatiana, it was the fact she couldn't get no more liquor. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't get lit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
You just never know.
This is some crazy stuff, man.
But see, again, in order for me to create an entire narrative around this case, I need more back information.
Yeah. See, yeah, they haven't even caught this dude yet. I don't believe they haven't caught him.
They ain't caught the dude, and like I said, it was random.
He got the biting, and then he got the hell out of there. It's crazy, man. Like the dude went to the hospital, stable condition, but again, look, there's no word on if this guy, whoever this guy is, if he spit it out and they were able to recover it, or if he went to chomp and actually swallowed it like Jessica Collins, man. That, again, if he did that, I'm gonna put like 99% on the return or the reemergence or whatever have you on bath salts, man. I'm putting 99% on it. I need more details to this story.
Yeah, because without a toxicology report from the actual biter, we won't know. And we didn't figure
the way
out.
You say that, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like without that, then
yeah,
we just kind of left in the dark.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So man, we just gotta, keep our ear to the street on this issue. Yeah, man, we gotta just, you know what I'm saying?
All right. But that's all we have for you. That is the end of the the stories portion of the show. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna open this thing up for callers, and we hope that we do have some callers call in. We did like I said, a number of different stories. We had some fun with it, like we always try to do. We try to get you to laugh. We try to enjoy some of these stories. Some of these stories we can't do that because they are too damn serious. But in some of them, we do try to, find the humor in them and just, like I said, just try to enjoy the lighter side of life, man, because it can't be all bad news. It can't be all politics. It can't be all just like serious current events. You know, you got to crack a smile sometimes, man. So, you know, we try to get that to you occasionally.
I did go to the Aurora Police Department Facebook page. Is where they directed people to go for their live stream, their press conference in regards to one of their officers fatally shooting a civilian inside of their own home. Didn't tell us anything.
Nothing at all.
Maybe there's a longer one on Facebook because they do have a Facebook page. The one on, I mean, maybe it's on YouTube because they do have a YouTube page. But the one on Facebook is like 3 minutes long, and it's just talking about how Mr. Black is a hero and he saved his family that day, and it's a shame that that went down. There was literally nothing they had to offer. So you know I'm not saying you know, but it seems like they have something to hide, because if they didn't come out and just go ahead and release the body cam.
Yeah.
No, you said you announced the press conference.
Yep.
He came out and made a 3-minute video about it, saying that there was going to be a press conference because we don't have all the information yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to, I guess, address the public when we have all the information. So again, what I'm being told, what's being suggested to the public is that they're going to have like more details about how it went down.
Yeah. You would think.
So I'm going to go to the YouTube page. And I'll go to the YouTube page to see if it's longer, but the press conference that they released on Facebook is a nothing burger, straight nothing burger.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, more details do need to be provided about this.
Yeah,
we need to know where the officer was. Was he actually outside? Was he inside? Like I said, it seems like this is gonna be a bad shoot, man. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like it's gonna be like, damn, that one was way too quick on the trigger, and an innocent man just trying to protect his family.
And see, and that's the interesting part of it. Here you have a very contained situation involving one house, not some sort of active shooter situation. You just have a home invasion. This is not an active shooter. This is a home invasion, and you have cops come on the scene and be hasty and actually shoot the good guy with a gun. And this is a very contained situation within a house. This is not like an active shooter, like where there's like in a heavily populated building, mm-hmm. or area with a lot of people in it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, because think about because we talk about this all the time. Think about whether it's active shooter situation and we have multiple good guys with guns.
Yeah.
And they don't all, I guess, self-deputize in the same moment.
Right.
Because essentially that's the only way a situation like that could actually have a chance at a good outcome, a possible good outcome, is if everyone who is armed, whether it be concealed carry or not, that doesn't matter, is self-deputized in the same moment. So everybody knows who the good guys are, but in a real situation, that's not going to happen.
I'm glad you brought that up, though. I'm very glad you brought that up, because you remember the whole argument about arming teachers, arming staff, or whatever. See, you remember what we said about it. If that actually happened when it was multiple people in the school that had weapons, what could not take place? The police could not enter the school until the teachers actually had control of the school and put the suspect down or gain control of the suspect. Because if the police come inside the school, they might get to shooting and good guys will be put down. Good guys will be killed. Because, of course, there's no way to know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy.
But yeah, because if they don't all become, you'd
have to put on some gear. Hey,
it's not just that they will not know who the good or bad guys are, mm-hmm. within themselves.
Yeah.
Within the people who are tasked to protect the area, mm-hmm. not police officers, but like you said, like teachers.
Right.
But in the case of just random civilians trying to activate themselves, self-deputize in an active shooter situation, like how do they know which people that have the guns are good or bad. And then when the cops get there too, the cops and the authorities are going to be confused too.
That's why they would not be able to go in.
Yeah, that's
it would
why
just be a massive loss of life.
That's why more guns doesn't make sense in every situation. There might be certain situations where it makes sense, but those situations that it makes sense surround things that are more like organized, like war and stuff like that. That's where it makes sense, where the more guns equals, more safety or, more, I guess, a favorable outcome.
If this officer shot from outside of the house, there's not going to be any justification, man. Because there's no way.
I do need to be charged.
If this officer was outside of the home, and there are good guys in there, there are people that own the house inside the house, and they're dealing with the intruder. If this officer fired his weapon from outside the home, there should be absolutely no justification, and this officer should be charged.
Okay, they released. I'm on the YouTube page. Okay, because it doesn't look like they released.
Hold on. Well, let's hold off on that because we got 2 callers waiting.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. I'm just saying it is on the.
Hold on. Let's set up this environment first. Hold on one second. All right. All right. So we do have 2 callers waiting, and the first caller. Let's put our earpiece in so we can hear. The first caller is from the 704 area code.
What's up?
What's going on? Who is this?
I don't know much.
Is this Tony?
This is Will from North Carolina.
Will,
what's up, man?
What's up, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to, there's a few things I wanted to talk about. Y'all had a good show tonight, man, especially there at the end. That was funny. That was good. I like that.
Appreciate that, man.
I'm sure everybody got a good laugh. And one thing on Tuesday, I made a comment and I left and everything, and I went back and finished watching later on, and I seen reaction, and I understand the reaction. Before I did that, I didn't realize that I probably shouldn't have did that. And what
well, hold on. What are you talking about first? Tell us what you're talking about.
Let's know what you're talking about first, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sure if everybody here or anybody knows what I'm talking about, but I said I made a comment that I'm out, and I said I'm sorry, but talking about criminals is naive, and so there was no explanation of what I was talking about.
Oh, I see. I do remember it now.
And I think some other people made some comments that might have struck some kind of nerve anyway. But and so I can explain what I was talking about. It had nothing to do with guns at all. As far as guns are concerned, I think we'd be better off without guns. But I also don't see why a government, especially a government that doesn't care about the people, should be trusted to tell people what they can have and what they can't have. And I also know that we can have the type of society where that wouldn't even be a conversation and wouldn't be an issue. So to me, it's just like another almost identity politics issue, man. I mean, but it's a very important one because you're talking about people's lives, and I understand that. But like I said, I just want to tell you how I stand on the gun thing. I don't have a strong position. I don't really. It's not an issue to me because there's much bigger issues that can be solved that take care of that as well. And what I was talking about with criminals, I had in quotation mark, and it wasn't a shot at you guys or anything. It wasn't anything personal. Sometimes I get frustrated, and I'm human. I'm definitely not perfect and far from it. But like I said, I wasn't like I was offended by what you were saying or anything. It was just in general. I'm just so frustrated with labels, man. And even a label like that, especially a label like that. it's easy for us to put people in categories, and especially a category like criminal, and without understanding that people who engage in the behavior you were describing are first victims themselves, and to whom evil is done, do evil in return. That's a quote that I've seen before, but pretty much describes the reason for the type of behavior. Poverty is also a direct correlation with bad social outcomes or negative social outcomes. So I know you didn't mean that, but it's just something that sort of caught me, a little bit, and just with some frustration and probably being tired or whatever, I made a remark that wasn't clear at all, and sort of, bounced and everything. So I definitely don't agree that what I did was reasonable, but so that's why I wanted to kind of explain what I meant. And there was a couple other issues. Like I said, that's a funny issue, man. I mean, like, I think most people will listen to what I'm saying and agree, but also we're all, including myself, guilty of making those distinctions at times too. So, like I said, don't think I'm not, I'm not, sitting there I'm not blowing smoke, you know what I mean? But, because like I said, nobody would believe me, and I wouldn't even try to lie and sit here and say that I don't do the same thing at times. You were having a discussion that was, understandable, and then me being irrational and having the irrational response led to, some misunderstanding probably, and just something overall wasn't helpful to anybody. So just wanted to say that. And
well,
like I said,
we appreciate you calling in to address that and kind of clear it up. If you felt the need to clear up what you said, then yeah.
And to be quite honest, I do remember it, but I don't. And we did respond to it, but I don't think I was in the mindset
type of way.
I was like, man, who is this fool thinking? It was. I definitely wasn't in that mindset. But like the way I saw it was more about the conversation had like multiple areas to talk about. So the way I took it was more like, yes, it's true that I guess talking about criminals actually doesn't make sense, because even like when we have a conversation about criminals and how criminals are essentially created,
and you did try to jump off of that too, like you said.
So there's a deeper conversation that needs to be had about that. I don't even think I was going to approach it from that standpoint. So like that comment, what it actually did was cause me to really focus on what the matter at hand was, to get the rest of the people who are watching the show to understand that, well, that's actually not the focus here. So, like, I don't think the focus should be criminals either, because, again, that's such a broad topic to deal with. And when we're talking about gun safety or any kind of safety, we're talking about automotive safety, or we're talking about construction safety in regard to building codes, that just has to do with safety. So it did kind of prompt me to like let the audience know and clarify that like criminals aren't really the focus, and they can be, and they are a part of the conversation, but it's actually more I guess the conversation is more focused on like safety and protocols that society can implement that have a common sense approach, rather than just trying to prevent criminals from doing things. There's a couple of other points I want to address real quick, and I agree with you on the labels thing to a certain extent. I think that's such a touchy subject, and maybe it's not just about the labels, but more or less how people apply the labels, because everything in society has them. We use words and we use terms to describe the things we see. I don't think words and terms and labels are bad in general. I just think that we live in a world where most of us, and like you said, we are all human, and when sometimes we all jump the gun, and I'm probably guilty of it too, where we misapply terms and label things in a way that we shouldn't. So my personal belief is not the labels are the problem, it's how we apply them. Now, as far as the government not being able to be trusted with certain things, that's true. But we have to stop treating government like it's like a robot, and stop talking about government in vague terms like it's like a robot or something, like it's just some Skynet. They're made up of people. So it's more about getting the right people in to make decisions for us. That's what the government should be. So it's not like there's just a Skynet making bad decisions. So when we refer to government, we have to acknowledge that as actual human beings. I'm gonna let Will jump in if he has something to say.
Nah, I'm gonna let Will take it.
Okay.
Well, all right. I completely understand that. I have a little bit different view when it comes to saying that we need to elect people, the right people. And the reason I say this is because that's completely rational. It's understandable. I just have absolutely no kind of illusion at all that works. And I'll tell you why. That's been tried for a long time, but that's not why. It just comes down to basic mechanics of, human behavior. And we're animals, whether we like to realize it or not. And we are really one organism, but we're all different small parts of the same organism. And humanity as a whole is like a single organism, and an organism itself at war with itself is doomed to failure, for one. So that's why we're fighting. We have to find a solution to that. Now, we also have to find a solution to, and it's hard. It's so hard not to demonize the 1%ers who we point at and say it's their fault because it looks like it's their fault. But the fact is we have a structure, we have a system that is structured in such a way that aberrant behavior is incentivized. As long as that remains, as long as aberrant behavior remains, I see absolutely not one single shred of possibility that we'll ever be able to have any kind of reasonable or even rational or fair system by electing people into an inherently corrupt system. Some people may disagree, but I think not only has history kind of given us a lot of evidence of that, I think my understanding of anthropology, psychology, and I've studied some philosophy as well because I find it important to find out how people in certain positions in society justify their behavior. It just will. I'm quite certain. There's no doubt in my mind that does not work. And another thing I want to say though is it's not like we can just identify a way to fix the system. We have to fight for the things that will fix the system themselves. And I'm talking about, when I say the system, I'm talking about our social and economic systems. I always disagree with anarchists because we're here because of anarchy. Anarchy is natural. We are here because of anarchy. This is what we have become. There's nobody to point at and blame it on. This is just what we are and what we've become. But the system we have enforces situations where we have a lower class. A lot of people just aren't informed or educated or knowledgeable as they can be. So my thing is, we need to stop fighting for all these band-aids and address the root cause of the issues. And it really comes down to very few things. It's mostly education, with a focus on how to make changes, economic changes. When you provide equality in an economic form or in economic terms to everyone and access to education, your society begins to promote education. See, right now, especially in America, America is a very good example of this. We find it cool. It's like fashionable to be dumb, unfortunately, and it is. I've seen it myself. I mean, if you are intelligent, you almost try to act, especially when you're younger and you don't have good guidance. You're not gonna be an intelligent person because you know that it makes you extremely unpopular. So yeah, those are some of the issues. But how do we fix those? We can't just keep complaining about that. We have to say, look, what can we do to ensure that people have access to knowledge, education, learn that we can educate ourselves as well, and maybe even incentivize those things. And then the system begins to fix itself because you don't have to worry about voting in people who are going to do the right thing. The entire mindset of the society and of humanity is one where we respect knowledge, we respect the truth and education. And the truth and education and the scientific method, when applied with the scientific method, has brought us to the point we're at now. So we can't just keep thinking that it's rational to benefit from the fruits of the scientific method, but then reject the method when it comes to applying it to our socioeconomic systems. So I hope that makes sense. I think I've made my point pretty good. I hope. Not a very good speaker, but you guys are. Y'all are good, man. Good at that, definitely. So I hope you guys do well and use those talents to the best ends. I'll let you have it.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, this is a conversation that can go on for I mean, forever, really. I mean, this is a good conversation to have. One thing that you didn't mention, though, that kind of prevents us from, I guess, that brighter future is racism. Because education, I agree, education is very vital and it's necessary, but you're not educating racism away. You just can't do it.
Oh wait,
and it doesn't. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked
because you can't educate racism
because that's
away.
A different kind of education.
Yeah,
I think maybe Will's talking about a type of education and not necessarily like formal academic education. Formal. So I'm just assuming Will.
Yeah, because racism has so many implications too. Because it's not just that, oh, I hate somebody based on like where they came from or what they look like. It has economic implication as well. Like I want to keep these people down too. I don't want them actually engaging in the same economy in the same way that I can. You know what I'm saying?
So you can have a good economy for some people and a bad economy for others, and kind of who is the target is probably should be more of a focus. Who is the target and who is the perpetrator?
Yeah. But Will, look, hold on, Will. But we have somebody waiting.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I've cited the economic issues regarding racism before, as if that was the end all be all. But let me say this real quick: education really does solve that problem. Because, and this is why it's real short and simple. There is no rational, scientific-based evidence to support that we should have any sort of, that race has any, it makes one group of people obsolete in any way to another. So what does education do? Well, it makes you stop having irrational beliefs. So if there's no science-based evidence, and it doesn't exist, that states that one group of people, one ethnicity of persons of the human race is inferior or superior to another, then education is the perfect thing to eradicate racism.
I just doubt that education. Yeah, I just doubt that education can get rid of irrationality. I don't know about that. Right. Humans are rational beings. Okay. I don't know. But like I said, this is a conversation that, like I said, we can go 15 different ways on it. And it is different. I mean, it is a important conversation to have, and we appreciate that you called in. And I mean, I hope that we can continue this conversation, man.
Oh yeah, me too. I think that's what I was going to say, man. Is I hope. I think it's something that needs to continue. I think this is the types of conversations that are as important as anything else, and it's not the only important thing, but it's very important. So, y'all have a good night.
All right,
appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in, man.
All right.
All right, we got 830 on the line. You're on the air live with LTMB.
Hi, it's me, Taylor from New Braunfels, Texas.
What's going on, Taylor?
What's
Thank you
going
for
on?
patiently waiting, man.
That's all right. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you, Mike White, that you were like totally on point about about like the whole gimmick that the Dallas Cowboys are using. The only thing that you left out is like them saying that, saying like, yeah, America's team is back with good patriotism instead of good play, since we haven't won a Super Bowl in 1996.
Yo, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because they probably have more of an incentive to try to play up to this kind of very superficial Americanism, because they haven't won. They need more people. They need more. They need more fandom. They need more visibility, and this is a good way to do it.
They can't rest on their laurels because they ain't got none.
Like Tay said,
right?
Like they can't rest on that because they ain't did shit.
Exactly.
Damn.
So it's got to be, like you said, superficial and empty.
Maybe you should tweet at them, yo. Maybe you should tweet.
Yeah.
Get on their Twitter.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It's just, and really, it was Jerry Jones that really made them bad players. Because originally it was I believe his name was Jimmy Johnson, who was the owner.
That's right.
And he's the one. Yeah, and he was the one that had like those Super Bowls during the 90s, like 93.
Well, he was the coach. Yeah, he was the coach, and he pretty much put the team together. And then when he left, they won one other Super Bowl, but it was with his players. And then after that, it's been 0 for 0 for what, 20 or so. They've had not much success. So yeah, they gotta make empty gestures just to try to I guess keep support at the same level that it's always been, because again, they can't say, hey, look at what we've done. They can't do that at all.
It's like, okay, well, here, look at what we've done, political wise. We're not letting our players kneel, and I could kind of understand, maybe, I could kind of understand why they're doing this, because obviously Dallas is a really conservative city, so obviously I'm sure a lot of people in Dallas would be supportive of this, even if even if that quarterback said that I personally wouldn't kneel, but I don't see anything wrong about other players doing it, especially what he had to say about it, even though it was just kind of ridiculous. Also, because
I agree with
how right.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird answer, and you offered an answer that probably would have been a bit more diplomatic, to where he can actually not deride his fellow. Essentially, they're his co-workers. Mm-hmm. He essentially derided his co-workers, and I was and like you said, Tay, he could have just said, hey, I don't personally think it's good for me, but if they feel the need to do it, I don't see why they should be. That would have been more simple. That would have been playing both sides. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He needs to he needs to be better at that, considering he's an athlete, because he's going to have to do that as a public figure. Yeah, he's an automatic public figure.
Right, even though it's free speech, which is totally patriotic, but it's we just went away from all that, where it's now they consider no free speech patriotic, because that's all that kneeling was about. Mm-hmm.
I just laugh at the hypocrisy, man, because again, it's hey, there's no way you can be on this, a part of this franchise if it's really they're saying players that kneel for the national anthem, you have bad character. You can't be a part of the Dallas Cowboys. But hey, Greg Hardy, that savagely beat his girlfriend, hey, he can play football. He can sack the quarterback, and and I guess all throughout the course of time, men have beat women, so it's
it's not really any sweat off our backs.
Nah, we're not making any news or anything like that. I mean, hey, we can support that and just look the other way. Yeah, man,
right,
that's
and it's kind of Yeah, it's also hypocritical. Like, you're saying, well, we're against like players, kneeling during the national anthem, even though they're good players. But like
Yeah.
with Greg Hardy, even though he's a wife beater,
Right.
but but that's okay because he's a good player,
And like he wasn't trying to do anything positive. He actually hurt somebody physically. Like these players are actually trying to do something positive. They're just not trying to be obstructive or just trying to like thumb their nose at authority. They're trying to actually do something positive for the country.
Technically, they are hurting people. They're hurting people's feelings.
Yeah.
So,
yes, they are hurting a group of people's feelings that don't actually want to listen. No, I don't want to hear what your gripe is.
And even like not just the gripe itself. So even though they're not acknowledging why the players are kneeling, like it's just weird that anyone would get upset over something that is not actually affecting them. That's the funny part of it. So even if you're not going to acknowledge the issue and the reason why these players are kneeling in the first place, why present this as a problem when nothing is taking away from the actual game? No one is making you kneel. You can still stand up and put your hand over your heart, take your hat off. You could do whatever you want. So it's like there's nothing about the situation that's taking away from each individual person. Like someone like kneeling who you probably can't even see.
That's what I was going to add on.
You can't even see them most. Like you're in a position in the stadium where you can't even see it.
No, but forget. Do most NFL fans that watch football on Sundays, the large majority of them, are they in the stands or are they at their home or at a bar watching it on television?
They're at home. The large majority
they're watching
of people,
it on a television, right?
And for the most part, I think I'm going to just go out on a limb and say most of these fans are not standing in front of their TV.
Oh, no, but forget that. They're not even seeing the kneeling take place, though. The games don't view that. Like, you don't view that. Like, Monday Night Football, you will see, like, the whole performance. You'll see that. But I'm talking about the 1 o'clock game, the 4 o'clock game. You're not seeing that whatsoever. So why are you so mad?
Now, it may be a chance that they'll see it.
You're still hearing it. You're still hearing the national anthem.
Exactly. That's another good point. It's not like the act of kneeling, like, I guess, scratches the record.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like when a player kneels, like as soon as their knee hits the grass, it's like and it's like the record scratches and like messes everything
up. The players are making noise, trying to interrupt the whole damn thing.
It's not like mugs are being like coo, like you know what I'm saying? Like they're not really doing anything. They're just not
acting like
they're not doing the most. They're doing the least they could do. And like you said, the camera may cut to them, but again, that actually can be controlled.
Oh yes, it can.
So if the NFL doesn't want their fans to be upset, they just don't cut to players kneeling. That can be solved where the majority of their fan base is at their own damn house.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they mainly show like the singer,
right,
like in television,
the audience, mm-hmm.
Right.
It's crazy, man.
And I mean it's just also just really about the money. Even though I remember I'd read stuff about Twitter about like all these Trump supporters like wanting to boycott the NFL, which to me it seems like really didn't do much effect anyway, but.
No.
I mean,
actually, there's no evidence that these owners have lost any money whatsoever. They're framing it around an issue. Well, I don't know if they're framing it publicly around an issue of money and lost revenue, but there's actually no evidence that they have lost anything. The NFL is still as successful as it has ever been. It's only increasing in its success. So, I don't know about that.
No, I mean, I think it's just a whole bunch of snowflakes. That's pretty much all it is. Like, with with the whole elites in the NFL, like that are rich, that just afraid that it might just hurt just a little bit of profit, just like a little snudge, when it really isn't.
Patriotism is good as long as you exercise your patriotism the way I want you to. If you don't, bad.
Right. So, and to me, I think it's more to me. It really, you know, I mean, I just can't see anything more patriotic than like using your rights. You know, using like, you know, the amendment, and they always like, you know, harp on the Second Amendment, like, oh, you know, Second Amendment, you know, we got to protect it, you know, but it's like, but they don't care about the rest, you know,
at all
they don't
costs.
care about the poor. Right, that's been gone a long time ago, and now it's like it seems like the First Amendment is already like starting to disappear.
Oh,
you know,
but hold up, no, it's not disappearing. You remember on the last show we did on Tuesday, we talked about the ghost guns, right? We talked about the plastic ghost guns, and what are they using to support that? They're using the First Amendment. Hey, this guy that owns Defense Distributed, he has a First Amendment right to put his plans out there for anybody to see. That's his First Amendment right, so that should be protected. But these players, no, they should not have a First Amendment protection.
Just for kneeling.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess crazy, like, man. You know, if it's like the First Amendment that supports the right or the rich, then sure. But if it's like the First Amendment that, you know, that's for the left or for like, you know, the poor, then no, you know. And it's really supposed to go all ways, you know. Right. So, yeah, and I mean, it just makes me really laugh, and of course, I'm just, you know, especially like, you know, you like always been like, you know, like lived in Texas all my life. You know, it just seems like the Texans are much better than the Cowboys, really. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they got a QB now too that looks like years of success are in the future.
Yeah, so obviously they just want to try to get their glory back, just like how they had it, you know, like, you know, when they were really good during the 90s, and I guess that's all they could come up with for now.
And you see, you know, I used to like them back in the 90s too. I didn't watch football until like the early 90s, you know, and once I like first got into it, you know, when you were playing Sega Genesis, playing the what was it, Joe Montana football, and for the young cats, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you know, Dallas was the team. You know, you had Emmitt Smith, you had Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, you know, Harper out there. Was it Alan Harper?
Yeah, Alan Harper.
Yeah, number 80, I believe.
Number 80. Man,
the tight end.
Novacek.
Yeah, Jay Novacek. I mean, it was a beast team, and I remember I used to play with them, and that was like, and that was my team back in the day. And it's like once I started growing up and getting out of that, I started, you know, feeling all of this like cowboy love, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And then I get into my adult years, and I'm like, why do people love the Cowboys so much? They stink. Like, what is, like, America's team? Like, why? That doesn't make any sense. And I still don't understand. I have no idea. Like, why would, I think the Cowboys are the most, I think they're ranked number one in the, and yeah, they're definitely ranked number one in the NFL in terms of value. And I'm talking, and I think in terms of all teams worldwide, I think they're like in the top. No, they are number one. I think they're the top team in all sports.
So what you're saying
in terms of value,
they are America's team.
Yeah, not just America's team.
I'm just saying, because look at this. They have a lot of value.
Yeah,
but nothing to show for it.
Nothing.
But no wins.
Have a lot of value and no wins. Nothing to show for it. So technically, they are Americans because everybody always talks about how the best we are at things. So it's about perception. So we maintain this bubble of value that really doesn't exist. It's really not true. It's false.
It's a bubble.
It's like cowboy exceptionalism. That's what it is. It's like cowboy American exceptionalism. It's the same thing.
Or are you talking about like value of like the cheerleaders? You know,
Yeah, true that.
not
Yeah,
by the real
exactly.
football
So,
players.
so basically, they're not even valuing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole aim of the game should be winning, but they're not even doing that. But yet they still remain valuable because they're focused on very superficial things like the pageantry. Everybody that has gone to that stadium has said the same thing. It is the most magnificent stadium that they've ever been to. It's like there's all these details about it. Like even the drain covers, the drain covers that help, with water drainage, like that most stadiums have. Even the drain covers are have the Cowboys logo and everything on it. So like they didn't spare any expense. Like you said, the cheerleaders. So there's all these superficial things surrounding the Cowboys that make them more valuable, but they ain't winning shit.
I just saw this a couple weeks ago. This was on Forbes. Cowboys #1 most valuable team in all of the world. They are valued at. Let me see. Let me see. Dang, I don't see their. Okay, so. Three of the 4 most valuable sport franchises in the world: Manchester United, $4.123 billion; Real Madrid, $4.088 billion; Barcelona, $4.064 billion. Dallas are the world's most valuable sports team for the 3rd straight year at $4.8 billion. So they are they're about like $700 million more valuable than the 2nd place team, Manchester United.
And when did that article come in?
That was July 18th on Forbes. I just saw a couple weeks ago I saw that. Yep. 3rd straight year. Based on nothing.
Yeah, just obviously it's just values of whatever there is besides winning.
Isn't that is crazy, man. My gosh. Like you would think you would think that, man, really for like more than a decade, the New England Patriots have been the team. Now I can't stand the New England Patriots. I'm a New Yorker, I like the Jets. No way do I like the Patriots. But I can't deny them the success that they've had for over a decade. So you would assume that, my gosh, like a damn franchise like that, a legacy that they have like this, like they should probably be the most. I mean, like maybe not in the whole world, but at least in all of football, they should probably be the most valuable team.
They should.
They're in a large market.
They're in a large market. Freaking Boston. And I think,
how are they not more valuable than the Cowboys?
No, they even use the word patriotism, in there as they're like,
Patriots.
They got everything. They got everything.
But see, again, like I guess if you look at I guess the beginnings of America, it is kind of surrounding the idea of the cavalier nature of a cowboy, like the Wild Wild West, Cowboys versus Indians, right? Cowboys versus really Native Americans.
Yes.
And so a lot of people long for those times because it was everything was more open. You had stewardship of the land, if I want to say it very G-rated. You know what I'm saying?
So you think there's like a certain nostalgia?
It might be a certain nostalgia surrounding just the idea of a cowboy. Like, everybody wants to be like when you're little, what do you play? You play like things like cops and robbers. You play cowboys and play cowboys and Indians back in the day. Yeah, I never played that. Thank God I didn't.
Yeah, me too. Straight up.
But you know what I'm saying? Because to me, that's a toxic game to play.
Straight up.
So
it will shape your opinion on things, wouldn't it?
You know what I'm saying? My granddad was obsessed with all those little cowboy type shows, man. You know what I'm saying?
No, and it's just, it's kind of like, it's just kind of so sad that they would make a game out of that, when it's really about just cowboys, just slaughtering Indians for their land.
Yeah. It just
that's pretty much how the Texas Rangers started.
Yeah. It's just glorifying it. It's like it's just glorifying that period of time or that kind of I guess I don't want to say it's like a historical dynamic. It's more of a way that we make ourselves feel better about characters like that.
And they paint them as savages.
Pretty much, yeah.
But the Americans,
like John Wayne,
they were good.
Yeah, John Wayne. Yeah. You got to create some sort of like romance surrounding, you know, that time period and those situations, even though it didn't exist like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they can relate to a character like John Wayne more than they could a Native American who's a savage, right?
And the thing about it, cowboys were, you know, really invented in Mexico. So obviously we kind of just adopted that culture from it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I got to say, so I'll go ahead and let you go.
All right, Taylor.
man.
We enjoyed it, man. We appreciate you calling in.
All righty. Bye.
All right. Oh, look at that. We only had about less than a minute left. Look at that. We weren't even looking at it. Yeah, we do want to just take a minute, shout out our callers that we just had, Will and Taylor. Thank you very much for calling in, and man, you really provided a lot for us to talk about and engage with you on. Great discussions, man. I think we have great discussions here on LTMB, man. We need to have more of them, straight up.
Gonna acknowledge the super chat too.
No doubt. Got some contributions in the super chat. Gear Randon, thank you very much. And Do Poop, who included a special message for us. You're not broke broadcasters anymore, B.
Yep. And it was the $2 that kind of pushed us up to that higher, that upper echelon.
What am I gonna do with the hashtag now? Well, it's on the shirt. It's like
maybe,
on the shirt.
I don't know. Maybe you can like.
I mean,
maybe you can like. Maybe we can like. You could scratch the. Or just add broke-ish broadcasters.
I don't think there's enough room. Or you gonna put
put it in bottom like
and an
ish,
arrow or something.
An arrow, broke-ish broadcasters.
Okay. Well,
or you can just take that and we'll put kinda broke or relatively broke.
So we push through broke broadcasters,
yeah.
But now we at like either broke-ish or kind of broke
or relatively broke.
Seemingly broke. Relatively might be too long.
Yeah,
man.
no.
You don't wanna, that
gotta be shorter.
Yeah. Kind of broke-ish.
Broke-ish.
Probably broke-ish
Broke-ish.
is better. Broke-ish is probably better. Yeah.
Scrolling Facebook feed, and apparently there's an article put out by the Daily Mail. It's under the health section, and it says the CDC urges Americans to stop washing condoms, to reuse them.
Is this a thing?
So
is this? Hold on.
I swallowed.
Is this a thing? Is this a thing?
I'm trying to figure out. Again, usually if the CDC is warning people of something, that must mean that there's an indication that people were doing that.
Muzz are so hard up that they reusing condoms?
No pun intended. No pun intended. Yeah, I know.
I would have never thought of
I would have never. That's not something that even crossed my mind. I've never thought to wash and reuse a condom.
Where would you store it?
Where exactly? Like, do you have like a condom storage box, a used condom storage box, a airtight used condom storage box? And do you keep track of how long? You keep track of how long it's been stored? Like, that's another thing too. Like, you wash it and then put it like in some sort of like drawer or box or plastic baggie and then save it for later.
But condoms can dry out though. They can like become hard
or no pun intended. Do you like then have to like add more lubricant because you're washing it off, you're washing everything out of it and off of it? Do you add more lubricant to get it back on the second, or a third or a fourth try.
Seems like too much of a process.
Yo, dog. Like
seems like you
pinching
too many pennies.
Yo. It seems much easier. Just there's places that offer free condoms, especially if like you live near a college campus.
That's true.
I'm like, it would seem like it'd be easier to just get free condoms, like
rather than go. I'm you know,
I was like, that cannot be a thing.
I'm not even gonna dive into, I guess, verbally how this process would play out, but in my mind, just going through it, I'm full of questions.
You know what? I might be full of questions up here, but I'm sure as hell I'm not asking questions to somebody who does that. I don't even want to know the answers. I don't want to know the answers. I don't need to know the answer because there's no answer that's good enough. There won't be any answer that like fulfills like your reason. I'm sorry. It's not a good answer. I'm
curious.
Mr. Johnson, I'm seeing that you are reusing your condoms. First of all, I don't know how I would see that or know that anyway, but let's just say I'm seeing an individual or they tell me they're doing that. Like, how do you go about asking that question? Like, yo, man, why do you wash and reuse your condoms? Like, what's the purpose of that? I'm sorry, there's not going to be a good answer. The only thing I'd be doing was asking them just to see how stupid his answer would be.
You know, it's going to be somebody. You know, somebody that like, you know, they divulge too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, they not even real, like a real friend of yours, but they talk too damn much. They tell you everything. Yo, B, you washing out them condoms, right? Saving money.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got one of them friends like, yo, dude, man, you know how much I be smashing, right, dog? But dog, I'm just like, it's killing my pockets, dog, because all these chicks just want to, you know what I'm saying? So I got a little secret way to save this money, son. I got a secret way to save this money, son. Yo, all you do, dog, is just first you wash it out. You get some like alcohol, maybe some lemon juice if you in the natural shit. And then you get some Febreze, get that stank out of there, cause you can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so son.
It's gonna have to be a process.
Son, I'm telling you, son.
It's gonna be just like that.
It's gonna be just like that.
For real though.
I see Freya caught my pun. No, a lot of people didn't catch my pun. I said, hey, Mr. Johnson.
Oh man,
if that's the thing, man, I'm curious, but I may not want to know the answer.
Moose guy, I haven't heard about anything about talking about a SC Costco, something about fighting with senior citizens. I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
70-year-old spar with Costco samples, Associated Press, and I haven't saw that. Lisa said power wash it.
I'll power wash it. Yo,
like, you would destroy it.
Now I'm thinking of ways that like people go about doing it. And you know it's gonna be a difference.
You can't hold something that you power washing. That's way too much pressure.
So you gotta like hang it up on something. Or you gotta like somehow pin it down.
Too much.
Or maybe she was hinting at like put it in the dishwasher.
Wow. Nah, that's dirty.
No, that's clean. That's clean, man.
Nah, man.
That gets all the goop out. I'll get everything out, man.
So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to run the dishwasher with nothing but a condom. Then take it out, run it again without nothing in it.
Yeah, because you just want to be sure that you rinse out whatever was on that condom so it doesn't kind of splash back up on the dishes.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Or maybe they just have like a special like container where they just kind of like shake it and clean it,
like some like alcohol or something like that. Some whatever, man. We've done too much with this. Now we're doing way too much, man. Now we're doing way too much.
Yo, that's a sensible thing to say. Just deplorable? He said, Mike said you need to lube to get it back on. What? Hey, I mean, that's sensible conversation. If people talking about washing their condoms and reusing it, I'm just thinking about it, common sense wise. I'm saying you washing all the lube off, man.
Oh my gosh, man. Freya saying, if you live with me, buy a new dishwasher afterwards.
Yo. Yo. I would suspect that the person is going to like try to get some pre-approval before they put it in your dishwasher.
I'm suspecting that the person is living alone.
Oh, no doubt.
Yes.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And I'm suspecting that, first of all, if you pinching pennies like that to save on condom use, to me that says something about your priorities.
Like you said, that the CDC actually had to issue a statement about it. That means it wasn't just like a couple.
No,
it wasn't just a couple. It wasn't even several.
It wasn't just like Peter down the street.
Nah, man. They like, this is something that they was like, yo, what is going on here? Do we need to issue like a press release? I think we do.
And again, it's the Center for Disease Control, so they're getting information from somewhere, which probably means like when people come in to places like whether it be Planned Parenthood or people come into like some sort of clinic, they usually divulge information about how they could have possibly come down with something or caught some sort of disease or whatever. They probably have a questionnaire. Do you reuse condoms? I guarantee you there's a questionnaire somewhere. Do you reuse condoms? And they probably got a bunch of yes. Enough people said yes. Wow. And it's probably people who, we're thinking of it in a very extreme way. Mm-hmm. But it's probably just simply people who use a condom and set it down. And then for some reason come back to it later when they want to.
I can't. I can't even, man. I can't. No, I can't. I can't, man. Nah, I can't. I can't even fathom the type of person that would do that. I can't even.
And like, how much are you saving? Like, how much are you really saving? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you saving like a little bit or are you saving like a grip? Are you saving a grip? Like,
yo, I know the economy's bad, but damn.
I gotta like,
check this out, right? Sarah Huckabee Sanders just said the economy is booming, right? But it's not booming for mugs that are reusing condoms.
See, that is kind of the hidden gem that tells us that Sarah Huckabee Sanders was lying.
Exactly.
Not because wages are stagnant.
Nah, that's just a little factor.
Not because people can't afford health care.
Not because they have like less than $1,000 in the bank.
It's this.
Yeah, this right here.
This right here.
Donald Trump is the president, and the CDC, which is a branch of government, right? I mean, that's part of the government, right?
Right.
Under his administration, said, "Yo, don't do that no more."
Yo, it's like this is the beginnings of the recession.
This might be a sign.
This might be a sign. This is the beginning of the recession, man.
Or it might be further. Yeah, it might be further proof that like what we're seeing with this supposed economy boom is actually
wait a second, dog.
Not what we're
should
be seeing. It's a bubble.
The CDC, Center for Disease Control. Usually the breakdown of that, the result of the breakdown of any mechanism that is there to prevent disease will most likely lead to a zombie apocalypse.
Oh boy.
Right? So now the CDC comes out with this,
I should have known where you were going
advisory. See, I'm saying, so they see something coming. So they come out with this advisory saying make sure you wash or you don't reuse or wash condoms. Maybe that's another way. Maybe that's how it starts.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how the zombie apocalypse starts.
Reuse condoms.
It's always something simple, man. You know it's always something simple. We always got to make it extreme. It's probably how it starts, man.
Cameron, yeah.
Pineapple on pizza and reusing condoms. That's how the zombie apocalypse starts.
Cameron said, yeah, it's $400 that most Americans cannot afford. Yeah, I knew it was lower than that. I know most Americans do not have $1,000 in the bank. But I think the number I saw was 500. But I'm pretty, you know, if it's 400, I would not be surprised either. Most Americans do not have enough money in the bank to afford something like their car breaking down and trying to get, you know, trying to fix it or trying to get another car or something like that. Yeah, man, it's a bad situation, man. But the economy is booming. Mugs are living paycheck to paycheck. Mugs have, you know, second jobs and third jobs, and, you know, like you said, can't afford health care, can't afford their rent, you know, can't afford new clothes, and, you know, back to school shopping. Man, yo, some of these lists, back to school lists, though, yeah, I don't remember this back in the day. I don't, like, of course, we were kids, but I don't remember going to school. I took a look at the list, the back to school list. They want, I believe it was 40 pencils. 40 pencils. Every kid has to bring 40 pencils to school.
Nope, don't remember that. I think
40?
I think I would remember that. I know there's a lot of things about my childhood I don't remember because probably I don't have to, but I think I would remember something like that. 40 pencils?
40?
Nah, specific number. They had to do something. They had to use some sort of metric to determine that number was adequate. Yeah. But we got Moose Gal up in the chat section bringing us some numbers, the car facts, or shall I say the hat facts. According to Forbes, four studies claimed 1.4% and 3.3% of people admitted to reusing condoms. See?
Well, hold on. I don't get the. Hold on. Is it 1.4 to 3.3%?
Yeah, probably. It's probably two. It's probably two.
It's too high.
That's too damn high.
That's way
too high. You're telling me between like 1 and 3, like out of 1 to 3 out of 100 people.
Oh no, that's way too high.
That's too many.
It should be like 1 in like,
you know how many, like, if
at least 500,000.
If you so basically you go to a football game. Yeah. And let's say it's a big, like, let's say somewhere like Tennessee, like where the Volunteers play at.
Michigan, dog.
That 100,000.
Yeah.
100,000. So you're telling me you go to a college football game, could be 100,000 like people there.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that 3,000 of them people in that stadium reuse condoms? Wow. That's about. If you go to like a Michigan game, Ohio State game, Alabama, I think they have like 90-something thousand. But Tennessee, 100,000. You will find 3,000 people there.
You know what?
That reuse.
See, I'm thinking too much about this, man. See, I'm thinking like, yo, of course this is a male thing, but I'm like, yo, are there any women like, yo, don't throw that out? That's crazy. No, see, I'm doing too much. See, stop it. See, you got me. It's too late. See, I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much.
I think like both genders.
You gotta stop me, man.
I think both genders have the capability of being nasty. I don't think there's like women or men are more or less nasty than the one. So like, I do have to consider that there was some approval. It's not like Mug takes off the condom and is like, hide this. I'm gonna hide this. She ain't gonna know. Like, she got to see that. So there's got to be approval. So they approve of it. So this has got to be like a joint venture.
Yeah.
This is a joint reuse condom venture going on.
Yo, this is crazy as hell, though. And this is what we're gonna close the show out with.
Or we can't assume that it's always male on female. You can assume that it's
no doubt.
Male. Because there will be no reason for females to use condom with each other.
No, yeah, that's true. There is a male involved. That's for damn sure. There is a male involved. Didn't know that subject was gonna come up tonight. I don't think you knew that subject.
Nah, man, I didn't. You were just perusing, man. I saw that. Like, you know what I'm saying? CDC, advises people not to reuse condoms.
It was something to,
but we're making the assumption that people are washing them.
Oh, see, that's just nasty. Nasty.
We're making the assumption that people are washing them. I guarantee you there are going to be some instances where they did not.
and hence the CDC.
Zombie, and hence the zombie apocalypse.
Because the CDC says, or if there was not going to be health problems, or if there weren't already health problems, CDC wouldn't have felt the need to say something. Got all a bunch of just stale juices just sitting around. Growing. You know what? That's it, man. All right. We about to be out of here, man. We hope you enjoyed the show tonight, August 2nd, 2018. Like we said, the Tennessee primary was tonight. And see, I'm not even
man,
what?
Don't
what?
even go to the chat, dog. Don't go near the chat, dog. These mugs is just tripping, man.
See, I'm gonna continue. See, you trying to cut me off? See, nah. Anyway, Tennessee primary was tonight. We got stuck on condoms, so reused condoms. So we didn't get into actually seeing if there were any notable races to have a conversation about. But we'll do some digging. We'll see what's there, and be on the lookout Tuesday. Like I said, 4 states are going to be undergoing some primaries. I called them out before. I know it's Missouri, Michigan, Kansas, and Washington. Oh, I remember them all. All right. So that's definitely something that we're going to be paying attention to, and maybe by the end of the show on Tuesday, we'll have something to talk about regarding that. Right. So obviously, there's a candidate in Missouri, Cori Bush, that is being backed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So definitely want to see if she can prevail in her race against incumbent Lacey Clay. So, again, man, that's what I see. I do know something that's going on next week. See, I don't know what's happening this weekend.
Okay.
I have no idea what's happening
this
weekend.
But at least it's attached to the week.
Yeah.
Some kind of way.
I know what's coming up next Tuesday. So, but anyway.
You're going to have to amend the description, because usually what we talk about, you put in the description.
I'm not putting that in the
You're going to have to,
nah.
You got to amend the description of the video.
We might get a strike.
No, just call it just call it like double dipping. Just call it something.
But see, you can't be sure. It might be triple and quadruple dipping, man.
Well, then you put that in the description.
I'm leaving it completely out. Leaving it completely out, man. But yeah, man. Like I said, hope you all enjoy the show. We had a lot to talk about, and another shout out to our callers, Taylor and Will. Thank you for calling in and just being a part of the show. Another shout out to all of our patrons on patreon.com. Appreciate all of you for funding us and believing in us and always supporting us. Shout out to our super chat contributors as well, Gaillard and Do Poop, that made us had to amend this hashtag broke broadcasters. You have to write it in with they got white Sharpies.
Yeah,
they got white Sharpies.
Yeah,
they got white Sharpies for real.
Yeah, all kind of color Sharpies.
I didn't know they got white. I know they got different colors, but why? I don't think I seen a white one. Anyway, not gonna do it, but still. Anyway, but yeah, man, we hope that you enjoy your weekend. Do something that makes you laugh. Spend some time with somebody that makes you smile. Something, man. But we'll be back. We'll be back on Tuesday, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be putting out some videos from most likely the last 2. Yeah, because I think we do have some clips from the last show that we want to put out. So that'll either be happening tomorrow or Saturday. So just watch out for that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's easy. It's right there. Literally right there, bottom right hand side of your screen. Hit subscribe and take the time to hit that bell as well, the notification bell, so that you get all of our content as soon as it is uploaded onto YouTube. So with that, again, we appreciate you being with us tonight, and peace out. Let the madness begin.